ESPN welcomes you to the following presentation of the Southeastern Conference.
Welcome to ESPN College Football Primetime, presented by PlayStation 5. Death Valley, a night game. Socially distanced, but Coach O's team, they need a win. The Bayou Bengals. It's been a couple of weeks since they've been on the field, and it was a heartbreaker at Mizzou. And they are taking on a South Carolina team, Will Muschamp's group, coming off a huge win over Auburn. Bob Wischusen alongside Dan Orlovsky. Quinn Kesnick will join us in just a moment as well. We've got two programs kind of headed in different directions, and you would think the defending national champions would be the team on the way up, but that's not the case coming into tonight.
Well, South Carolina comes in here, 2-game win streak, and a huge win last week against Auburn. And then for LSU, it's like, how do we just start playing better football? Stop giving games away and get back to their winning ways.
Well, those winning ways last year were created by a truckload of talent that took home a trophy case filled with hardware, of course, led by Joe Burrow, winning the national championship. He, of course, the Heisman Trophy winner, but as with many times a national champion, a defection of talent, and that's shown up.
Yeah, a lot of that talent is playing on Sundays as well. And then so you have a bunch of young players that don't have a ton of experience, and it shows up with a lot of mistakes that force those games to get given away. And the reality is, this football team is going to start a true freshman tonight in TJ Finley. Incredibly talented young player, a giant human being with a big arm. But they're excited to watch him play tonight. He actually got to spend time in their meetings last year on their college football playoff run, and they think that's going to set him up for success tonight.
And their offense so far is scoring plenty of points. But Quint down there in Death Valley, it's the defense for Coach O that he wants straightened out.
For LSU, defense has been sold separately. Coach O told us this week their performance has been embarrassing, and they have been the responsible reason for losses to Mississippi State and Mizzou, whether it's faulty alignments, guys missing assignments, bad technique, poor communication in the secondary that led to repeated busts against Mizzou. Tonight, he hopes you'll see a simplified scheme. He's made some subtle changes on the D-line. He wants his linebackers to play more physically, and he wants his secondary to talk and communicate, Bob.
Yeah, Coach O said it is embarrassing when you score 41 and lose. That's what happened a couple of weeks ago. South Carolina, LSU, under the lights in Death Valley. We'll kick it off in a moment.
Okay, I'm up. 5 more minutes.
Break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar.
When our daughter and her kids moved in with us, our bargain detergent couldn't keep up.
Turns out it's mostly water.
So we switched back to Tide. One wash, stains are gone.
Don't pay for water. Pay for clean. It's gotta be Tide.
The Americans who drive our trucks and ambulances, who put fear aside and run toward the flames. These are the people we depend on. That's why at the Ford Motor Company, our Super Duties have undergone 20 million miles of testing so that these people can depend on us.
Your business has an easy choice. The largest 5G network, award-winning customer satisfaction, insanely great value. Choose all three. Ready when you are.
Addie and Key Huber reviewed the Popeye's chicken sandwich, and it was pure joy. Get the sandwich for just $3.99. And don't forget to order a delicious Cajun turkey.
Love that chicken from Popeye. I'm not your grandma. I don't wear 12 layers of clothes in July. And I drink Canada Dry bold ginger. With an extra kick of real ginger taste that would blow the tennis balls off your grandma's walker. New Canada Dry bold ginger, not your grandma's ginger ale.
Welcome back to the SEC on ESPN. Set for game time between LSU and South Carolina. Of course, Will Muschamp. Was he ever fired up as his team found a way with takeaways, Dan, primarily to get a win against Auburn last week? And for Ed Orgeron, Quint talked about it in the pregame. They are looking for a complete turnaround defensively on a very nice night to play football at Death Valley.
Well, it's no shock that Will Muschamp was fired up about anything. We'll see that a lot tonight with his energy on the sideline. He's got a good football team, a team that's got veteran presence on it. And for LSU, I truly believe if they stop hurting themselves, they will look much more like last year's team than the one we saw in the first couple weeks.
The Gamecocks won the toss and deferred to the third quarter, so Mitch Jeter will send it deep to Trey Palmer, and we're underway at Tiger Stadium. Palmer from the goal line to the 25-yard line. So our first look at TJ Finley. His mom said she had to bring his birth certificate along when he played Pee Wee football because no one believed that he was the age of the other players in the leagues. That's just how big this young man has been, and equally filled with emotion when he made the decision to choose LSU over some of the other household names in college football. And they'll start with a 4-yard carry straight up the middle by John Emery.
I remember right before this game started, we were watching Finley warm up, and I said, wait, that's TJ Finley? I mean, he 6'6", 250, like he looks every bit of that in his pads.
Quick hitter underneath for a first down, as he finds Eric Gilbert, who is a tight end that's probably as physically imposing in his position as TJ Finley is at his.
Special talent, Gilbert. I have no idea how he's a true freshman. Very athletic. He reminds me so much of ex-great Georgia Bulldog Ben Watson as a route runner and a weapon.
Emery finds a crease. He's got 8 yards.
I like it right now for LSU. Run on first down, settle the young man in. Quick RPO on second down, get a completion. Some of this has got to be their offensive line starting to push the line of scrimmage a little bit and get this run game going.
First down and more for Emery. Into the secondary before he's taken down by Shiloh Sanders. Well, if you want to take the heat off a true freshman quarterback, run the ball like this. And it's an easy night to take the snaps from under center.
And Emery's someone that I'd love to see LSU start using more. I think he's a really good back, and I know they got 3, but I just love his versatility. Great job of finding that hole behind Gilbert. Big block on Ernest Jones. You mentioned it. Like, let's get this LSU run game, especially between the tackles. Let's get that going.
There's the quick slant. And the next great one at wide receiver for LSU, Terrace Marshall. Well, if you're calling plays tonight, what are you doing to try and ease a true freshman through the game?
Well, first thing is, how do you get the end result that you want? Nothing that he doesn't feel comfortable with is getting called. Value the football. Only plays that he's executed well in practice. Simplify things. Hey, Gilbert to a check down, or your great receiver, Terrace Marshall, to a check down, and then settle him in. Get him to the second quarter so you don't try to give the game away early on.
Emery finds a lane to the outside. First down and more. Out of bounds at about the 28-yard line of South Carolina. So a very efficient drive. So far, 8 more yards for John Emery. He's got 4 carries for 34 yards on this drive. Quarterback run. And Finley back to the line of scrimmage.
I think South Carolina defensively, like, this is the reality of the situation for them. We've talked about Gilbert. Terrace Marshall's one of the best receivers in the country for LSU. How do you feel comfort-wise covering against those guys? Because that's going to determine how many people you're willing to commit to the run game. And if you're going to play with high safeties, here comes the LSU run. And if you're going to commit to people to stop the run, then the ball's got to go up in the air to those 2 playmakers.
Just shy of the first down line to gain. Terrace Marshall was turned back, but it will be third down and a couple as LSU knocking on the door of the red zone. And boy, third down, they came up empty all the way through that very tough loss against Missouri. Playing with tempo on third down and 3. And just turned aside was John Emery. A stop made by Kingsley Enagbari. So now what do you do if you're Ed Orgeron? Do you take the 3 on this opening drive or go for it in the red zone?
Go for it, man. You got a 6'6", 250 quarterback sneak.
Now they'll give him a push, and it looks like he's got the first down.
I actually really like this by Finley. Kind of stunted. It's like right away he's going to get hit right there. Okay, now let me just kind of find some space to my left. Use my big body. Davis Price pushing from behind. Just, I think that's something that'll settle him in as well. You know, it's a great drive so far, but that fourth down, let me go find a way to go get that conversion.
The 11th play of this opening drive. Already taken over 4.5 minutes off the clock. Ty Davis Price is in at tailback. He'll be to the right of Finley in the shotgun. Marshall in the slot left. They keep it on the ground now with Davis Price to the 11-yard line. Picks up 6 on first down, second down and 4.
You can see LSU taking their time at the line of scrimmage, waiting for South Carolina to declare what they're going to do. Drop down the safety. We feel good running that way with our leading blockers. Right now, you got no safeties. You got no safeties in the middle of the field. You got to find a one-on-one matchup. Look at back here. No one back in the middle of the field there.
A jump cut, dodging tacklers at the line of scrimmage is Davis Price, and he weaves his way for about 3.5, so it's third down and 1. I would have to think as a play caller, this is textbook for how you settle a true freshman quarterback into a game.
Oh, absolutely. You saw a couple RPOs on the move. Run game's been great.
Straight ahead run. The pile pushes, and that looks to be good enough for another first down as Davis Price gets it to first and goal.
I think one of the great things for LSU is how well your offensive line has come out and played, especially the interior. Shanahan, the center, Ingram at guard, Hines at guard. Those guys seem to be denting the defense a little bit. Anytime that happens, you feel good as a play caller that you can rely on downhill runs. One-on-one at the bottom of the screen. 2 best players in this game.
They'll run it the other way. TJ Finley tripped up at the 2. The nickel safety, Jamie Robinson, saved a touchdown. It'll be second down and goal.
Quarterback sweep, lead block by Davis Price. He knocks off Jamie Robinson.
Pretty good play by Robinson to keep his eyes up and realize he still had a chance to make the play. And now Max Johnson comes in at quarterback for TJ Finley. So true freshman to true freshman. He'll hand a little zone read off at the goal line. Did Davis Price get in? They may have marked him just short. Now it's third down and goal inside the 1 after the quarterback change.
Just short. That left knee went down just short.
So TJ Finley's helmet came off. He had to come out of the game for a play. And now he fumbles the exchange on third down and goal inside the 1. And it looks as if South Carolina's got the ball. A flag down on the play as well. So we've got several things to sort out here, but the exchange between Liam Shanahan and Finley ends up on the ground. And did South Carolina jump and maybe offsides at the snap?
Doesn't it look like 5 Keir Thomas makes contact with Shanahan? Like, what? Look at Shanahan's reaction. Watch his reaction right there. He's like,
defense, number 44. The penalty is half the distance to the goal. Repeat, third down.
And I don't think you mind that if you're Will Muschamp. Okay, I gave you another inch going towards the goal line. Like, if you're trying to time that snap right there, you're a second, a blink too early. If not, that's going to be a turnover for you. So I don't think you mind that if you're Will Muschamp.
Now, half the distance from inside the one is 6 inches. Right. And who knows, that's probably a pretty good gamble to take. If that flag isn't thrown, you might just steal the football.
And I don't think you feel great right now if you're LSU about a quarterback sneak. I know that Finley's already has one with the conversion on 4th down, and he's a big guy, but South Carolina is loading up in the middle. Something outside those tackles, or at least off tackle, suits better here with the look.
Well, Emery lines up just behind Finley, as if to help on the push. He lost the football again! And I don't think South Carolina was offsides this time, although a flag again has been thrown. Zach Pickens has the loose ball, but back-to-back snaps where you've got a fumbled exchange and a flag will probably be thrown for offsides again.
Offside. Defense. Penalty is half the distance to the goal. Repeat, third down.
All right, one time I get. I don't think Coach Muschamp's going to be okay with a second or a third. I mean, that's something that's more than likely coached. Again, the risk-reward is worth trying that for one time.
TJ Finley from about the 1-inch line. There's the push, and the quarterback falls into the end zone. A clean exchange, and it is an LSU touchdown. A 16-play touchdown drive that ate up half of the first quarter.
Great push by the interior of that offensive line. You saw the tailback Davis Price. The little push. What a start for the true freshman.
Well, it was a 16-play drive. 13 of those plays were runs. So as you said, talk about taking the heat off of a true freshman quarterback.
Smart.
TJ Finley with his first career touchdown at LSU, and it's 7-0.
Team, it's been a grind, but I think I've aged you well.
Everything is ready to matter, no matter what. Are you ready?
Halloween night, Justin Fields leads number 5 Ohio State into State College to take on number 8 Penn State in a Big Ten matchup with college football playoff implications. That's next Saturday night at 7:30 Eastern at Beaver Stadium on ABC and the ESPN app. Bob Wischusen alongside Dan Orlovsky. Quinn Kesnick with us as well. A 7-0 lead for LSU. 7.5 minutes on that opening touchdown drive.
Dominant job by the offensive line. Great understanding of the young freshman playing quarterback, not asking him to do something he's not able to. Just a picture-perfect drive by the Tigers.
Carrion Joyner watches it sail into the end zone, and our first opportunity on our show to say hello to Matt Barrett.
Gentlemen, good evening. If you thought that Penn State was just going to roll into Bloomington and get the win, you're wrong. Michael Penix Jr. with 23 seconds left, the 1-yard touchdown, forced to go for 2. Penix Jr. again. We are tied at 28 with 8 seconds left. Penn State lining up for a game-winning field goal.
So Penn State trying to make that game next Saturday night have the implications we thought it would. It certainly takes a hit if they lose against Indiana, as Colin Hill goes to work with a little toss sweep to Shi Smith. Smith gets down the sideline. Shi Smith with a big play for the Gamecocks on their first snap from scrimmage.
Little jet motion, toss it to him, lead blockers out front. 2 people in the wrong place for LSU's defense. The Tiger fans have heard that way too much through the first 4 weeks of this season. A simple thing, be in your gap. In the first play of the game, it's done incorrectly by the defense.
Another end around to the opposite side to Shi Smith. He turns the corner again and picks up 7, maybe 8 more. There is a flag down. And that first snap, you could almost hear every LSU fan saying, here we go again.
And it's basic stuff, Bob. Like, hey, this is your gap. Play together.
Holding. Offense, number 46. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Repeat, first down.
And we have an injury as well.
Timeout.
So we'll step aside for just a moment. LSU on top early.
ESPN, home of the college football playoff.
ESPN College Football, presented by PlayStation 5. Play has no limits. And in part by Coca-Cola. Together taste better.
The electricity of Tiger Walk in 2019 replaced by today's Tiger Walk, 2020 style, socially distanced, stadium capacity only 25,000. Coach Orgeron saying, you better bring your own juice this year because the fans aren't there. The electricity is not in the house that usually has 102,000, Bob.
And we were wondering what kind of an impact that would have on this game. And Kevin Harris making his own impact at the pylon, in for a touchdown. Well, the 25,000 will be silent as could be if South Carolina keeps on steamrolling with their running game the way they did on that opening drive for the equalizer. Opening day, LSU allowed 623 yards passing to Mississippi State and Mike Leach's air raid. They allowed 586 total yards a couple of weeks ago in a loss to Missouri. And they have already allowed 2 huge chunk play runs, including that scoring run by Kevin Harris.
Watch two people. Watch the linebacker here, Cox, and watch that defensive end. One of those players has to keep contained. Cox, if you're going to step up, defensive end, you have to keep contained. If the defensive end is going to squeeze down Logan, then Cox, that linebacker, has to get outside. Someone's got to play outside. Excuse me, that's Damon Clark. One of those two defenders has to play with responsibility. It's simple stuff for this defense. It shows up all over their tape. It's the conversations we had with Coach Pelini and Coach Orgeron all day yesterday, and he's talking to Logan right there. That's your gap. That is called gap integrity defense. Somebody has to set the edge.
Dan, it's funny. The word you said was, this is simple stuff.
Simple.
And when the media was asking Ed Orgeron about the first 3 games of this season, and he said, I want this to be a simpler defense. We have to simplify things. What is more simple than that? I mean, what of what you have seen on tape and of those first 2 big runs by South Carolina says to you, this LSU system is just too complicated for these kids?
Nothing. I mean, nothing. I said that to you guys. Like, this is not something that is difficult for these players to ask. Right there, Logan, you're a senior. Clark, you're a junior. You guys have played plenty of football. You both know someone has to play outside, someone has to play inside. It's as simple as this, Bob. Where your eyes go, your attention goes. And that's all it is the eyes of defenders looking where they're not supposed to. The pass game, I mean, 380 yards a game through the air, and I would say 100 of those a game are because miscommunication, or I'm going to do something and you don't know I'm doing it as another defender.
Well, let's see if their offense can answer. E.J. Finley with a handoff, and Chris Curry just about broke free. As it is, it's a 7-yard gain on first down, maybe 6.5. Yeah, when we spoke with Bo Pelini and we asked him about the request from Ed Orgeron to simplify the defense, Bo Pelini said to us on our call this week, this is about as simple a defense as I've ever run.
Correct.
We just need our guys to execute it better. Quick slant. Marshall gets free. Terrace Marshall easily picking up a first down out near midfield. Let's take a look at our Chick-fil-A impact players.
I think Nick Muse, the tight end for South Carolina, has got to be a secondary pass option. J.C. Horn.
They're throwing at him right now, and J.C. Horn step for step in coverage with Racy McMahon.
J.C. Horn's going to be a guy who's probably one of the better corners in the country, not alone just the SEC. Reminds a lot of people, myself included, of Stephon Gilmore. Great, prideful corner. Eric Gilbert, we mentioned him a little bit, the young tight end. If they are going to try and take away Terrace Marshall, he's got to be that secondary option. And then Clark, we've already talked about him. First, communicate as a defense, and second of all, you've got to play more physical at the linebacker position for LSU.
Quarterback draw. Finley to midfield. There's a flag down.
Illegal formation, offense. Number 61, not on the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty, second down.
Interesting to watch how South Carolina is defending LSU right now. They're keeping J.C. Horn, the boundary corner, out wide, and Izzy Mukwamu, field corner, out wide. They are not covering Marshall or Gilbert in the slot or tight end area with their premier talent. I think that's the match.
Well, tightest to the trips to the top of your screen is Marshall. Finley looks in that direction. Instead, a shot down the sideline, and he's got Jaray Jenkins. The 31-yard line of South Carolina. He's got something to say to R.J. Roderick after the play's over.
Living a little right here. I think he's trying to throw this big incoming. Jenkins is the clear out, kind of just turns around at the right time, and that ball's thrown there. Had to get the ball out of his hands early. Was Finley. Jenkins in the right place to go make that catch.
Five-man rush. Taking a shot is Finley. Flag out. It'll be Terrace Marshall that draws the penalty. And again, that's the nickelback, Jamie Robinson, that was there in coverage.
Pass interference, defense, number 21. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot, automatic first down.
Yeah, they got the number wrong. That was obviously 7 and not 21.
So some might ask, like, why do you take your best receiver, Terrace Marshall, and put him inside, put him in the slot? 2 reasons. First of all, if one of those really good corners is going to follow him, you already know that it's going to be man-to-man. Like if J.C. Horn lines up inside, there you know the corner from the outside is playing now inside. Now I know it's man-to-man from a quarterback. And number 2, if you do put him inside and they don't match him, you're going to get him on a lesser player. Jamie Robinson is a good player. He's not Horn, he's not Mukwamu, so you get that matchup on a lesser player that you want.
And they've got the matchup again. Instead, once again, it's quarterback draw. T.J. Finley close to a first down. Let's check in with Matt Barry.
All right, guys, want to keep you up to date on what's going on in Penn State, Indiana. It's overtime. Clifford to Parker Washington. He scoops it off the turf. It's a great catch. Poor throw, wide open. Either way, Nittany Lions up 35-28 in overtime.
Flags down as LSU is looking for a red zone first down. And this will go against the Tigers.
False start, offense, number 61. 5-yard penalty, second down.
The left tackle wire, yeah, just get started early. Trying to go down on that double team. Just got his momentum going too fast.
Cameron Wire getting the start for Dare Rosenthal tonight, who was out of tonight's lineup. He had started the last couple of games at left tackle. The true freshman off to a 5-for-6 start. He's got John Emery to his left, second down and 6. Quick hitter through the hands of his intended receiver, Marshall, and we have a flag down again.
Illegal touching, offense, number 6. He was inside on the line of scrimmage and touched a forward pass downfield. 5-yard penalty, second down.
That's a formation issue, I guess, for LSU, lining up Terrace Marshall as an ineligible receiver.
I'll be honest, I thought that was a little ticky-tacky call. Like, he's just pressing his alignment rules. Like, he can hug where he's allowed to get to. That's what it looked like to me. I did not think he was lined up on the line of scrimmage.
Well, Marshall and Jenkins stacked tight right. Instead, it's a handoff to John Emery, and he is turned back right at the line of scrimmage. Ernest Jones there to help on the stop. He's in the top 10 in the SEC in tackles per game. 4 minutes to go in the quarter, and now it's 3rd and 11 in the red zone.
LSU has really struggled offensively. South Carolina, this is why having those corners matter, because you feel good playing some man-to-man coverage and sending 5 pass rushers and trying to get a one-on-one matchup. I think you start with number 6, Marshall, then work to Gilbert here for the quarterback, Finley.
A true freshman out of the pocket. Just about threw an interception. Racy McMath couldn't haul it in, and there is a flag down again in the secondary at the 10-yard line.
I think this is going to go against South Carolina.
Holding, defense, number 7. The penalty is half the distance to the previous spot. Automatic first down.
This is Marshall right here. Watch the physical contact by Jamie Robinson. Okay, wait now. This right there. Now watch the right arm rip and grab. That's what forces him to go down to the ground. They want to play physical out on the perimeter if you're South Carolina, but the big body of Marshall will fight through that. You got man-to-man coverage, that defensive back running with.
Right up the middle. To the 5-yard line goes Emery. And LSU, from a formation standpoint, in a phone booth down here inside the 10-yard line, creates a lot of space out on the edge. Is that something that you might be able to exploit with Terrace Marshall?
Oh, for sure, especially with teams that play man-to-man coverage. You can go picks and rubs.
And now they've got them spread out, but they weren't set. That ball was snapped before they came set.
Offense. All 11 players did not come set prior to the snap. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
And probably the first sign of a true freshman quarterback making his first start. Number 1 job, especially with playing with tempo on offense. You want to go fast. Everyone has to get set. Number 1 job, you go, hey TJ, we want to go fast. We got a good play here. You gotta get them set, get the play started.
So now it's 2nd down and goal at the 10. And you seem to see Ed Orgeron signaling to his sideline, slow it down. Finley for a yard. 3rd down and goal, just inside the 9.
South Carolina's challenging. They're putting people up to support that run and going, okay, Robinson and Horn and Mukwamu, you guys are going to have to go, especially down in this red zone area, and play man-to-man coverage. Last 3rd down, he got a little bit aggressive with the ball. TJ Finley. I'm making a very smart play call if I'm Steve Esminger here and the offensive coordinator for LSU.
One-on-one, lobbed into the end zone, incomplete. Eric Gilbert tried to haul it in with one hand. And they went at the number 1 cover corner for South Carolina, and J.C. Horn was up to the task.
It's really good by Horn. Fight for the ball. Gilbert tries to get one hand on it.
So it will be a field goal try for Cade York to try and put LSU back on top. And 27 yards out, and he puts it right through. 2:05 to go in the first quarter in Death Valley.
National champion LSU Tigers.
This week that LSU has self-imposed some penalties stemming from a level 3 recruiting violation that took place when Odell Beckham Jr. handed out cash to players following last season's national championship win over Clemson, doing it on television. Probably not the brightest move. The Tigers' penalties were first reported by Sports Illustrated on Wednesday and include a reduction of 8 scholarships over 2 years, reduced recruiting visits, evaluation and communication with recruits as well, and LSU has also banned Beckham from the team's football facilities for 2 years. LSU on top 10-7. How about our drive recap brought to you by Downey Defy?
Well, South Carolina brings Shi Smith in motion, just a jet sweep. Jacoby Stevens, you got to get outside. That's your gap. Let everybody play inside. You have to be responsible. First play of the game, second play of the game. Clark, Logan, one of you guys has got to keep contained. Both can't have your eyes and attention on inside. Allows Harris to go down the field. Easy touchdown for South Carolina. I don't want to simplify it too much. You got to do your job. You got to play your role, play your gap, and you're good enough to be a good defense.
3 yards on the dive ahead by Kevin Harris. And that almost, to me, sounds like a Bronx cheer on the part of the LSU fans, that their defense just limited the offense for South Carolina to a 3-yard gain.
I'm sure it's frustrating, right? I'm sure it's frustrating for Coach Pelini and Coach O because they feel good about a call. Okay, this call, everyone's got their role. They know it. I've seen these guys do it, and then they get to game day and it's like, what is going on with the simple stuff of our defense?
Harris again. And this time, the outside contain is there. And Jacoby Stevens, part of the double team that shoves Kevin Harris out.
Right, it's all connected. That's a good job by Stevens staying outside and Cox shooting the gap, using his athleticism, firing through. It's all connected. You do your job. It's a chain of events, and everyone does their part. 3rd and 10. This is where they can use some of those really good cover corners. Stingley up top. Rick's at the bottom.
Here comes the blitz. And down goes Colin Hill. He wanted to set up the screen and could not unload it. E.J. Ojulari, Andre Anthony in the backfield, and LSU gets a stop.
Watch Ojulari here, okay? I think this is like an up and under or something. Press the outside, go underneath, swim, athleticism. True freshman. The brother of the great linebacker at Georgia, using his athleticism for a big 3rd down sack.
Fair catch by Stingley, and an upset update with Matt Barry.
All right, guys, time for the AT&T 5G studio update in overtime. After Indiana scored, Michael Penix Jr., they go for 2. Watch what happens. He dives to the pylon. It's called good on the field. They reviewed it for about 5 minutes and said the call stands. And Indiana breaks a 41-game losing streak against top 10 teams, 36-35 the final.
A heartbreaker for Penn State.
Although
they had that one sewn up, it seemed late, and let Indiana back through the back door. Back to the offense. LSU very close to a first down as Coy Moore. A flag down on the play. And it looks like this one's going to go against the Tigers.
Ineligible receiver downfield, offense, number 2. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Well, Miles Brennan, of course, on the sideline, giving way to T.J. Finley with the injury that he suffered a couple of weeks ago against Missouri. The most completions, yards, and touchdowns for any LSU quarterback through their first 3 starts. And a junior that was behind the Heisman Trophy winner and finally getting his chance to play, but
end of the first quarter
because of injury has given way to T.J. Finley tonight. And that takes us to the end of the first quarter. A field goal lead, LSU. As we head to the second, T.J. Finley Getting some help from John Emery, his first career touchdown. Kevin Harris found the end zone as well for South Carolina. Welcome back to the SEC on ESPN. Bob Wischusen, Dan Orlovsky, Quinn Kesnet set for the start of the second quarter at Tiger Stadium. LSU with a 10-7 lead, and they've got the football, but after a penalty, 1st and 15 to start the quarter. An underneath throw to Coy Moore for about 6.
This is Kirkland at the bottom of the screen, and just watch Gilbert. Now Kirkland is going to raise his left hand. His job is to tell Gilbert, get off the line of scrimmage. I've got the line of scrimmage. He waves that left hand, but Gilbert's not looking. He's not looking, so they look to the sideline, they get their play, and they run it. But Gilbert has no idea that he's actually on the line of scrimmage. Communication takes two parties. You can't assume. It's hurt the defense, and on that play, it hurt the offense as well.
And that's where the 5-yard penalty came from. Keyshawn Boutte with a flag down on the tunnel screen. Gets loose. He is dragged down from behind. But we'll have to check the marker back near the line of scrimmage. Jordan Burks made the stop.
Defense, number 1. That penalty is declined. Results of the play, first down.
So J.C. Horn called for the offsides penalty, and that becomes a first down for LSU. A 19-yard gain on the screen to Boutte. Play action. Finley, seam shot. Ernest Jones just wallows Coy Moore, but still good enough for a first down.
Watch how quickly this happens, though. Finley, play fake. 1, 2, 3, set my feet, check my eyes, get the ball out on time. That is a great sign that your young quarterback feels good, that he's seeing the field well, that he's in rhythm getting that ball out that fast.
Finley again. On time again. This time it's Jontre Kirkland. He's working on John Dixon. That's good for another LSU first down.
Another great example. Catch my shotgun snap. 1, 2, 3. Got press man. Ball's got to come out on time. You bring Kirkland back down his stem from where he came from. Finley feels good right now.
Ernest Jones met Davis Price in the backfield. Jordan Birch came through to help on the stop as well. Really is a clinic, though, in how to call a game for a young quarterback, right? 16-play opening drive for LSU, 13 runs.
Yeah.
And they settled T.J. Finley down in the game, as you said. Just get him to the second quarter.
Exactly.
And now we're in the second quarter, and look at the plays they're calling for him now.
100%. And you feel like, oh, now he's like, all right, I've played football 1,000 games in my life. This is where I'm comfortable.
4-man rush. He's well protected, and he allows the route tree to develop. Jontre Kirkland very close to another first down at about the 11-yard line.
It's also simplifying things for him. We talked about that. Put 6 and 2 on the same side. Marshall and Gilbert. Marshall's taken vertically. Get the ball to your hands to Gilbert. Quick completion.
Well, look at all the movement for South Carolina defensively. They just couldn't get set. But they were able to stack the middle and drive back Ty Davis Price after a gain of 1.5 yards.
And this is giving Steve Ensminger confidence as a play caller as well. When you see him operating your offense, you tell him, hey, I want this is a play action pass. Read that will linebacker. He's not there. Throw that crosser. Man to man. Get the ball out on time. Okay, 3rd down. Let's get a completion. If that guy carries vertical, get it out of your hands. And now you're like, he's seeing things well. I know that he's understanding the play call, and that's going to give you a little bit more confidence to trust him with his reads.
Matchup at the top of the screen is J.C. Horn on Terrace Marshall. Now Marshall in motion, and they'll swing it to him. A cutback. He's down to about the 7-yard line. Jamie Robinson waiting for him. He brought him down.
Really good play by Robinson. And Mukwamu kind of just staying outside and letting guys run to the football. You got to anticipate you're going to get man-to-man coverage. Last time you were down here, a 3rd and somewhat longer to the goal, you got man. Everybody was man across, and there was no safety in the middle of the field. Marshall's in the trip set right here.
And now Horn.
Love that matchup.
And Horn inside maybe for the first time here as he's covering Marshall in the slot. Finley, back left, back corner of the end zone. He's got Marshall for the touchdown. Boy, just when you thought if you're South Carolina, you have the matchup you want, and J.C. Horn couldn't stay with him.
Watch the slot. Kirkland come down. He's going to somewhat rub Horn right there. Just get him to change his feet. Marshall kind of runs a little wheel route. Beautiful understanding. That's why you move him inside. You moved him inside. Horn followed. We talked about that. I know it's man-to-man. That's a man-beater route. Kirkland just get in his way. Marshall just come right off him. Touchdown.
10-point lead for LSU. Another touchdown for Terrace Marshall, his 8th this season.
I couldn't find a job. Then somebody introduced me to Indeed.
Where college football is watched, Nachos Party Packs bring the fun. Wherever the students are, the Live My Student section lives. Learn more at livemystudentsection.com.
And we're all counting the days until student sections look like what they're supposed to look like. Again in college football, and one of the best anywhere is the student section at Tiger Stadium. Let's get another update with Matt Barry.
All right, guys, time now for the All-State Protection Spotlight. And wait till you see the protection and the line that they give Zach Charbonnet. 70-yard touchdown, career long. And Michigan ties it up with Minnesota 7-7 early in the first.
You know, watching game day earlier today, they talked about the game. And then, of course, with Michigan, the entire conversation, as you would think, would shift to Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Right? And his contract. And whether or not he'll get an extension. And should he? And does it all come down to whether or not he can finally beat Ohio State? Colin Hill out of the shotgun. Only the 7th play from scrimmage in the game for South Carolina. It's a deep shot, and it's wide open. Kevion Mullins, the tight end. Inside the 30-yard line. He's bumped out.
Watch Mullins come from the left side of the screen. Just a little bit of nod. Gets that safety to think crosser, and then breaks back out towards the sideline. He got Hampton to think, I'm going to cross your face, opened up his hips, and then wraps it around. It doesn't happen without the protection of the offensive line. That's why you go a little play fake, get those offensive linemen to think, or offensive linemen to protect. Beautiful play call.
44 yards, and again, only the 2nd play from, or the 7th play from scrimmage in the first half for South Carolina. Colin Hill, as the pocket collapses, and he will go down. B.J. Ojulari for the 2nd time gets through for a sack.
This happens because the secondary, everyone's where they're supposed to be. No one's open, and Hill's searching, hanging too long. Quarterbacks, at some point you know, okay, it didn't happen in timing. 1 to 2 to 3 aren't there. Let me make sure I either get the ball to my hands or I go run, because 2nd and 15 is not how the South Carolina offense is built. They're a run-committed team, and 13, Shi Smith trying to make some plays.
Hill pulled it down and goes down again. Andre Anthony, another sack for LSU, and now it's 3rd and a mile.
Watch the bottom of the screen. Mullins, the tight end, releasing upfield, going vertical right now. Jacoby Stevens covering. You'll get more wide open than that. Colin Hill just did not see him. But you got to be somewhat concerned if you're a coach for LSU's defense in the press box going, I don't know if I feel comfortable having Jacoby Stevens in coverage versus these tight ends right now.
Is this a get in field goal range play call if you're here?
Absolutely. Get yourself 6-7 yards.
And a flag down as this play blown dead at the line. They may back up 5 more.
False start. Offense, number 79. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Juan on the right tackle. I still do something. If I'm South Carolina, and I know LSU has struggled with communication, I think pre-snap motion would be something here. Make this secondary communicate, and then maybe it's a perimeter screen, but you get one guy out of position, and you can get yourself the 12, 15 yards needed for your field goal attempt.
Will Muschamp told us they feel comfortable with Parker White from the 35-yard line and in. So they are just going to try and set up, if they can, a field goal opportunity. And now he'll have a decision to make, because that's right on the doorstep of where he said he would be comfortable. As Takarion Joyner got it to about the 36. So it looks like he will let Parker White attempt a sizable field goal.
I mean, if you feel good, if you're saying if Parker White has consistently kicked 52, 53-yarders, you don't have any weather or wind here tonight. Like,
his career long is 50. So this would be a new career long by a mile. This from just a shade over 54. Short. He had it on line. It just didn't reach. So the sacks and the penalties do indeed push South Carolina just this far outside of field goal range.
In the time it takes to brew a cup?
Oh, those are...
Progressive can't protect you from becoming your parents, but we can protect your home and auto when you bundle with us.
Look at that.
ESPN College Football, presented by PlayStation 5, is brought to you by Bear. Today, let's paint, exclusively at the Home Depot. And Progressive Insurance. Save when you bundle auto, home, or motorcycle insurance. Visit Progressive.com.
Of all of the great seasons that any college football program has had, it would be hard, I would think, to go back and find a season that was better than the year LSU had last season.
Absolutely remarkable. I mean, how many guys do they have starting on defenses on Sunday right now?
They had 11
6?
draft choices off that team.
I did the mega cast for the national championship game, and I was just like, this team is absolutely loaded.
Loaded. Here's Davis Pricer. Check that, John Emery. Trying to turn the corner. Can't do it. Tonka Hemingway got through to help bring him down.
I mean, you got right now the defensive rookie of the year right now is Patrick Queen, starting for Baltimore. Chason's playing well.
Yep.
Fulton's the starting nickel in Tennessee.
Second down and 12 for a true freshman with a lot of new pieces on this offense for LSU at quarterback TJ Finley. Four-man rush. He's got time. Fires a bullet in stride. He's got Jenkins inside the 30-yard line. J.C. Horn tried to track him down. 36 yards for Jeray Jenkins.
Watch the right side of your screen. Just open up, deliver the ball on time, right through Jenkins' sternum. It's called a runner's ball. Finley playing on time, seeing the field open up and delivering absolute ropes for LSU.
Finley, he throws an interception to Mukuamu. Israel Mukuamu with a blocker. That's Ernest Jones trying to clear a path. And Mukuamu all the way down inside the LSU 30-yard line.
Watch Mukuamu. He's just playing off coverage. It's a go shot. Finley's thinking back shoulder. Receiver just continues to run. Watch when the ball comes out of Finley's hands. Right now, the receiver starts to turn upfield. Mukuamu's just playing with vision on Finley. Right there, puts his foot in the ground, anticipates the ball coming out. Receiver, Jenkins is thinking go deep, and Mukuamu's just, I'm gonna play my zone corner with vision on the quarterback and see the ball come out of his hands. Great job by the junior.
Kevin Harris for about 4 yards. You know, Israel Mukuamu's family is going to start sending a limousine to pick the two of us up.
Is this 4?
Last year, you and I had the call of the Georgia upset. That was the Izzy Mukuamu show.
He had 3 that day,
3
right?
in that game.
Yeah.
And now he picks one up tonight against LSU.
But that was a great job of just playing zone corner. That's seeing the quarterback through your receiver. You could do both, and Mukwama did it perfectly.
Harris. It'll be 3rd down and 3 after we check in with Matt.
Guys, video of the day, overtime, Rice, MTSU. Rice, an opportunity to win it in overtime. Colin Riccitelli's kick. 1, 2, 3, doink. They would end up losing in double overtime.
You know what that field goal is? That field goal is 2020.
No question. That is the most brutal way to lose I think I have ever seen. Play action for Hill on 3rd down. On a rollout, extending the play. Throws it at the back of the feet of Decarion Joyner. And a flag comes out late. And a couple of flags are thrown. Very late in the secondary.
I mean, there 100% should be a flag on Jacoby Stevens. He almost tackled his receiver.
I'm wondering if one of the officials heard something come from one of the benches as well, because another flag was thrown in the middle of the field a good 5 or 6 seconds, it seemed, after the flag was dropped on the sideline. I think we've got 2 separate issues here. Let's see how this all shakes out.
There are multiple fouls on the play. Pass interference, offense, holding, defense. Those penalties offset. Replay 3rd down.
Wow.
Joyner thinks that Colin Hill's going to be running. The ex-quarterback thinks the quarterback is going to be running, so he starts to block. And that's what equals that offensive pass interference. But it was the right call against Jacoby Stevens. The receiver starts to cross his face, and he just grabs onto that jersey.
So we'll try 3rd down and 3 again for the Gamecocks. Fluttering throw, and it looked like Colin Hill's arm may have been brushed a bit just as he let go of the football. Ali Gay got through with a pass rush that disrupted the pass of Colin Hill.
And that's kind of the story of South Carolina's offense a little bit this year, specifically the offensive line, both tackles. Wanham, Turrentine, like neither tackle has been good enough, both in the run game and the pass game. Gay beat Wanham there.
Now Parker White so far this season, 4 for 4, less than 50 yards, in between 40 and 49. So this much more comfortably in his range. And there it is down the middle and good. So the lead for LSU cut to 7. Bill Muschamp's team gets 3 off the Mukwama pick. 15 seconds of fan fame. Bob Wischusen and Orlovsky, Quinn Kesnick, Death Valley, and a 7-point LSU lead. Let's take a look at this week's college football rankings brought to you by Allstate. We'll have at least a minor shakeup as Penn State loses to Indiana in overtime. Cincinnati SMU getting underway about 45 minutes from now as well. So another top 10 team still to kick off tonight. Clemson, and a little bit of a curveball thrown their way by Syracuse, but rattled off a bunch of points late to pull away. And very impressive opening performance by Justin Fields and Ohio State against Nebraska. TJ Finley with a John Emery handoff. Ernest Jones brings him down, but not before he picks up 8.5 yards. Matt Barry?
All right, guys, Michigan defense coming up big against Minnesota. Watch the hit Michael Barrett puts on Tanner Morgan, and the ball falls right to Donovan Jeter. Right now, Michigan up 14-7 late first quarter.
And Ernest Jones shaken up. That's the quarterback of the South Carolina defense. We'll step aside. Ernest Jones did make it to the sideline. Needs a little snack as well. A little sugar infusion to try and get himself back in the game. But He's a true junior. As we welcome you back to ESPN College Football Primetime, presented by PlayStation 5. And it's almost like the football gods smiled on Ernest Jones, giving all of these players the option to have the year back, eligibility-wise, this year, because when he was a true freshman, he played in the Belk Bowl and gave up a year of eligibility. As John Emery blasts up the middle and picks up a first down for LSU. He knew his team needed him, and he'd already played 4 games that season. But he said, if you need me in the Belk Bowl, I want to play, and gave up a year of eligibility to do that a couple of seasons ago. And now all of these players, if they exercise the option, get their year back this year. TJ Finley with another handoff to Emery. And he spins to midfield. Jamar Brown in to replace Ernest Jones, made the tackle.
And I think LSU sees that and says, okay, Ernest Jones, who's 235 pounds at linebacker for them, now being replaced by Jamar Brown, who's about 210. Here comes the run game. If you're going to play 210 linebacker, I'm going to run downhill at you.
Oh, now Jones able to get back in the game. That is a good sign for a South Carolina defense that is thin at linebacker. Timing route down the sideline. Finley tried to drop it in to Terrace Marshall. Pretty good coverage from Jamie Robinson.
Down inside the slot again. Watch, it's called the inside fade. You got all that room to throw them. Just keep your vertical. Oh, just outstretched arms of Marshall. Really on that throw, if you're Finley, the main thing, you don't have to be perfect. It's man-to-man. The DB's back is turned, and you've got everywhere to throw him towards the sideline. Give him a chance, an opportunity to go up and make that catch.
3rd down and 5. Each team has their timeouts left. A lot can happen in this last 4 minutes of the half.
You see that bunch set up top. You're going to get man-to-man coverage. You're trying to get some kind of mesh, some kind of pick out of that group.
Timeout called from the sideline by Ed Orgeron.
Timeout. LSU. First charge timeout of the half. This is a 30-second timeout.
TJ Finley getting the start in place of Miles Brennan. And for a true freshman, Dan, as he has settled into the game, he's looked better and better.
The big thing was early on, they got him on the move. You see a little play action fake, and then the quarterback sneak to finish that opening drive that went 16 plays was outstanding. And then in rhythm, 1, 2, 3 out of my hands and press man. The strike to the outside, and then the finish. You get man-to-man coverage. Terrace Marshall in the back corner of the end zone. Great touch on that football. Been incredibly impressive tonight. You see the one interception, a miscommunication between him and the receiver. You know, I mentioned going into this game that he was in those meetings leading up to the college football playoff last year. And they believed as a staff that it would pay off, just his awareness, the understanding of their offense. And I think that's shown tonight. Like, he's gone to the right place with the football every single time. And that's impressive for a guy making his first start.
As much as TJ Finley might have enjoyed being in Joe Burrow's coaching room, Ed Orgeron told us how much he liked being in TJ Finley's living room when he was recruiting this young man. 3rd down and 5.
I think you like Gilbert at the bottom of the screen in a matchup high-low.
Finley, slant, and he's got a first down and more. Terrace Marshall breaks free. Half call. Touchdown, flag down. Let's check the penalty marker. Is it the second first half touchdown for Terrace Marshall, or is it coming back?
Personal foul, roughing the passer. Defense, number 52. 15-yard penalty will be enforced. Result for the play is a touchdown.
So Kingsley and Igbari went at the ankles of TJ Finley and roughed the passer. Terrace Marshall, his 2nd touchdown here in the half, and his 13th touchdown in the 17 games that he has been a starter for LSU. Boy, talk about a productive receiver.
I want you to watch Marshall here as Boutte comes on that shallow cross. That's Marshall to circle. Watch the hesitation off the line of scrimmage. Let the shallow cross go and then burst. Behind it, you get those defenders having to play patient from behind. And that's a big playmaking receiver. Watch the hezi. Set your feet. Mukwamu can't catch up behind you. Listen, you could be as big and tall as you want. You got to be able to run routes. And I think that's something that Marshall has grown so much since last year.
And here's where you worry about TJ Finley. That's a big man. And right down at the back of his left knee, Enikbari goes low, and he is okay. But that is a dangerous play.
It's great that that left leg got out of there, though, right? You know, we talked to Marshall yesterday, and I asked him, I said, who's the best receiver in the country? He said, me. I said, well, why? He said, because I can do everything. And he said it confidently, not arrogantly, just confidently. I can go outside, I can go inside, I can run the short route, I can run the deep route. And I said, well, who do you think you're like? He said, Julio Jones. I said, okay, thank you for your time. We'll see you tomorrow.
I'm surprised he didn't pick an LSU wide receiver to compare himself to.
There's a lot.
There's
one in Minnesota doing some good things right now.
I mean, just off the top of your head, watching Terrace Marshall as much as you have now, where does he fit when you compare him to so many of the great LSU wide receivers? Even those of the recent past.
Yeah, I mean, Jamar is in a different stratosphere. Jamar's Chase reminds me of Larry Fitzgerald, but I think Marshall's become, you know, one of those guys you go, man, that kid's really, really good. He reminds me a lot of Michael Thomas of the New Orleans Saints, just because he's phenomenal with his route running off the line of scrimmage.
I think anyone would take that comparison as we go back to Matt.
Okay, gentlemen, coming up on the State Farm halftime report, a major injury for Alabama. We'll show you what happened. Plus a major upset of the Big Ten. We'll show you how it happened. Bizarre finish there. And Minnesota and Michigan going at it tonight. Michigan looks good early. Jesse Palmer, Joey Galloway join me coming up on the State Farm halftime report.
South Carolina now down by a couple of touchdowns. Colin Hill looking downfield, sidearms one deep, incomplete, just out of the reach of Jalen Brooks. The more opportunity he has gotten to play, the more Terrace Marshall has proven that he is a big play threat that deserves to be on the field. 2 touchdowns tonight, so he's got 14 touchdowns in his last 7 games.
Well, I mean, it's the combination of a really talented young man that works really hard, understands his offense, like intellectually understands. You saw on that touchdown, that hesitation off the line of scrimmage is not normal. That's understanding patience on that route running, and then the big playability after he gets the ball in his hands.
Deshaun Fenwick picks up a first down and more. Ran right through Jacoby Stevens.
And I think if you're South Carolina, you're okay right now. Like, you just missed a home run ball that is a foot away from being a big play. You still have a little bit over 3 minutes. Right now, like, it's just continue to run your offense. You're not in 2-minute pace right now. Run your offense. If you're Colin Hill, get the football out of your hands, get completions, and then once you get to around 130, that's when you can play with some tempo, because you don't want to give the ball back to the LSU offense at the end of this first half. Just continue to execute.
That 19-yard gain for Fenwick with under 3 minutes to go before halftime. Sets up South Carolina near midfield. That's an interception thrown to Eli Ricks. The true freshman takes it the distance. Touchdown.
Watch Ricks, just great patience. Anticipates that throw. The young freshman from California with the big pick 6. I actually spoke to Ryan Clark, the ex-LSU great, about this defense a little bit, and he said, hey, he said, Eli Ricks is the next great corner at LSU. Showed it there.
Well, they've only had 21 defensive back draft picks since 2007, including 6 in the first round, as Cade York's point after grazes the upright but goes through, and it's 31-10.
Okay, watch the receiver. He's going to run this slant route, and Ricks is going to play inside leverage right there. Now, as the slant route comes, now freeze it. The receiver is going to stop. If you're 81, you've got to continue to fight for position and drive through Ricks. The receiver stops. Ricks continues to go, and that's why the interception happens. Listen, it's great instincts by Ricks. It's an absolutely outstanding play. But that young receiver, Jalen Brooks, has got to continue to fight. You never stop your route. Colin Hill, the quarterback's not thinking you're going to stop. I'm letting that ball go, and I'm thinking you're going to fight for position. You stop. Ricks is right there for that pick.
Our ESPN recruiting guys had Eli Ricks as a top 30 player in the nation. And he just showed you why. Already with 3 interceptions this season. And the first interception that he had back in his first start against Mississippi State did lead to a fourth quarter touchdown, but there wasn't much good that happened that day other than that for LSU.
And I think that's why Bo Pelini and Coach O wanted to get him on the field more. Like they knew he's going to have some moments. He's a young player that's got to learn, but he's got playmaking skills, ball skills, turns the football over.
Well, Sunday NFL Countdown tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN. Derrick Henry will take us inside the art of the stiff arm. I think Josh Norman knows something about that as he gets set for a matchup with Pittsburgh. And then our Monday Night Football matchup. Aaron Donald and the Rams host Khalil Mack and the Bears. 2 of the best getting after the quarterback. Will be on Monday Night Football, 8 Eastern on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and the ESPN app. So now amnesia needs to be shown by Colin Hill, as he has plenty of time on the clock and timeouts to work with as well. And he finds Nick Muse for the first time tonight, the tight end, right between the hash marks. Picks up 18.
Now you're playing with pace. If you're South Carolina, like we're in our 2-minute mode. Colin Hill, just get the ball out. You're not taking any sacks.
Fenwick breaks a tackle, stays on his feet inside the LSU 40-yard line before he's brought down.
Continue your tempo.
Timeout, LSU. Second charge timeout of the half.
So LSU will call a timeout on defense with a 31-10 lead. And there's some unfortunate news of the day in college football. It's what happened to Jalen Waddle, injured on the opening kickoff against Tennessee, in an ankle injury or a lower leg injury that will end his season.
I mean, it's awful for the young man. It's awful for Alabama's offense. Just my head immediately goes to, this kid's a first-round pick, and now that's going to affect that. And I try to get everyone to understand when it comes to this, like, this is not something, this is 10 years of hard work and sacrifice by Jalen and also his family. The sacrifice that everybody invests. And hopefully he's someone that can recover from that injury, whatever it is, and I still believe he's got an incredibly bright future. It's just one of those moments you go, man, the reality of the game sometimes.
Play action for Colin Hill. He's looking to the end zone. Underthrown, flag out. That time Eli Ricks ran over Jalen Brooks. Sometimes the underthrown ball can victimize a defensive back, and it looks like it got Eli Ricks.
When we saw
pass
young
interference,
freshman
defense, number 1. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Make the play before, and he's just trailing and just gets there way too quickly, thinking that ball is going to come to Brooks. And that'll be a great learning rep for Eli Ricks. Learning rep of, okay, you got beat, but just wait for that receiver to flash his hands, play with poise and play with patience. You're a good enough player to track, to gain with your speed and then track the football.
Colin Hill back to the line of scrimmage. So it will be second down as Glenn Logan, helped out by Andre Anthony, at the line of scrimmage. 2nd and 10.
We got to get the ball to Shi Smith somehow. You know, moving him around. 13, he's outside of the bunch right here. I mean, that's their playmaking receiver. There's got to be a way at the bottom of that bunch. He's the guy that you got to try to figure out where can we get him the ball against this LSU zone defense right now.
He's been quiet since the opening drive. Hill directing traffic. Runs to the sideline. Inside the 20-yard line, out of bounds at the 17. So it will be a third down. Let's check in with Quinn.
Yeah, keep in mind as you watch tape, as you guys have, about the South Carolina team, they're really operating without a number one receiver. They don't have a big-time outside threat. Shi Smith in the slot, good tight end. They throw to their running backs a lot, but it's kind of interesting to watch them attack without a true number one receiver.
And that's why Mike Bobo, their offensive coordinator, is just really committed to the run game and just been strategic with where they want to get the ball to 13er Nick Muse, their tight end number 9.
Jalen Brooks all the way to the top of the screen has speed. He was just declared eligible this week. Dropped on the cross. Unable to haul that one in was Josh Vann. So now it's 4th down and 5. And it looks like it will be a field goal attempt to try and get 3 more on the board for South Carolina with 1:28 to go before halftime. And still time for LSU with a timeout remaining to play aggressively, offensively before halftime as well.
And I think you got to feel great if you're Coach O in that defense as he screams at someone. But at least your defense, when they do the right things and everyone plays together, they show up. They get off the football field.
34-yard attempts, well wide. So Parker White can't connect. He's missed 2 here in the first half. And it's still a full 3-touchdown lead for LSU.
I think if you're LSU and Coach O right now, you've got to feel great about the way TJ Finley has played in this first half, right? Okay, let's get him started. You did that. Great drive. Let's get him settled into the second quarter. You've done that. You've made sure that you haven't exposed him to any kind of mistake. Again, the interceptions and miscommunication. Colin Hill, you haven't had a ton of snaps. You only have about 20 snaps in the first half, and you've been playing a little bit behind. So if I'm Coach O and Steve Ensminger, their play caller right now, I'm being very conscious of my play calls right now. I want this kid going into half feeling great about the football that he has played.
And they'll start on the ground with Emery. He gets pulled down near the line of scrimmage by Keir Thomas. Now South Carolina has all 3 of their timeouts. So they may sense that LSU's just trying to get to the locker room at halftime.
It's their first charge
timeout. They're not going to let them off the hook here. They're going to spend a timeout and see if maybe they can get the offense the ball back themselves. This season, for every field goal and extra point made by participating universities, Allstate will make a contribution to the university's general scholarship fund. Thank you to Allstate.
We talked about this at the early game, like, okay, how do you get a true freshman quarterback? What's the goal when you're play calling him? Okay, start with the end result in mind. But how do we not lose this football game? Anything he did in practice that didn't look well, I'm not calling it. How do we value the ball? Okay, I'm only going to call plays that I know TJ Finley sat down with me and told me I know exactly where to go with the ball. I know exactly what you want me to do with it in these situations. And he's done it so far outstanding in this first half. Now it helps when you got Terrace Marshall. And it helps when you got Rick Gilbert in an offensive line that's playing really well. But he's played an outstanding game mentally.
Emery bounces it outside. Stutter steps on Jones. Ernest Jones wrestles him out. And that will stop the clock without South Carolina having to use a timeout. But it is only 3rd down and 1.
So I just mentioned a couple times, how do we not lose this game? 2nd and 9, going in half. You know, we've got some timeouts, coach, and I think a lot of coaches be like, all right, they're going to call their timeouts. Let's throw the football here. And that's how you can have a freshman make a silly mistake because he doesn't have the experience. I love that play call at LSU.
Emery, 1st down. And that's a big one because that should allow LSU to get to the locker room at halftime, even if South Carolina uses their timeouts now.
It's really good situational management from the coaching staff right now for LSU. And great job by their offensive line. You'll take that.
Oh,
right?
You'll take your per game average in the first half and more?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think they were looking for that a little bit. You know, a little bit of a balance of identity on offense. You know, we still want to throw the ball with the weapons we have on the outside, but we can still run the football when teams dare us to.
Emery stood up after a gain of 4. And to me, Dan, the other big story here in the first half, the LSU defense. McQuamu's interception only cost LSU 3. Outside of that first drive, where South Carolina ripped off 2 big runs, and you could hear the angst in the crowd, they allowed 3 points. And it was 3 points off of an interception. Probably the best that LSU's defense has played this year.
If everybody does what they're told to do and coached to do, you're good enough as a player, and that's what they're going to say at halftime.
We will send you to the studio. Matt Barry, Jesse Palmer, Joey Galloway. They've got the halftime scores, halftime report coming up next.
Boys, thank you from Building 4. Time now for the State Farm halftime report. We're going to start with day 1 of the Big Ten. Produced the game of the day. Penn State came in having won 22 of 23 from Indiana. Looked pretty good early. Sean Clifford late. Jahan Dotson, 60-yard touchdown. Penn State takes the lead back.
Dotson's now the go-to guy for Sean Clifford now that KJ Hamler's off to the NFL. 94 receiving yards for Dotson.
So after an Indiana turnover, Devin Ford, 14-yarder, tries to stop for the line, but it's too late.
Yeah, he didn't try hard enough, but keep your eye on the clock. There's a minute 42 left. Penn State will go up by 8. Indiana has a chance.
Ensuing Hoosiers drive, Penix Jr. finds Jacoby Hewitt. What a catch.
Phenomenal job and throw under duress and an even better catch in traffic.
All right, so here's where Penix gets big. 1-yard sneak, touchdown, Indiana down 2. They have to go for 2. Penix Jr. keeps it in the end zone, ties it at 28.
Penix Jr. didn't run the ball well in this game, but when it gets down to the end, go to your playmaker, and he's answering.
In overtime, first possession, Clifford to Parker Washington.
Clifford threw for 3 touchdowns. He also ran for 119 yards in a score. Here doing a nice job extending and keeping his focus down.
All right, so Penn State up the touchdown, Indiana possession. Penix finds Whop Philor, corner of the end zone.
Philor's a 1,000-yard receiver from last season. He is their go-to guy in a crunch.
All right, gentlemen, here it comes. 2-point conversion, going for the win. Penix takes off for the pylon. It's called good on the field. Have another look.
I think when they looked at this replay, they took about 5 minutes. There just wasn't any indisputable video evidence to overturn the call.
Tell them about the physics, Palmer.
It's called geometry.
Call the touchdown.
And Indiana, 36-35, 33 years since Indiana last beat a top 10 team. That was also the last time their basketball team won a national title. Overall, Hoosiers had lost 41 straight games against top 10 opponents, the second longest active streak entering Saturday. Wake Forest has lost 62 straight, and that's how we welcome you in to the State Farm halftime report. Jesse Palmer, Joey Galloway, Matt Barry, welcome back, Big Ten. Your worst nightmare. Penn State now has a loss.
Well, I don't think it's your worst nightmare if you're Indiana. And Indiana was a good football team last season. And people looked at this game and thought, if there's a team that could knock off Penn State and sort of make some noise under the radar, it would be Indiana. So they get out to a 17-17 lead at half. You look at what they did. They only had 211 yards of offense. But Penn State turned it over 3 times. They had 10 penalties. And you get down to the end of these games, you leave a team like Indiana still in the game with a chance to beat you, and they're going to make those kind of plays at home. Indiana could turn out to be a pretty good football team.
And you feel good for Michael Penix Jr. at quarterback. Remember, hurt his shoulder last year, missed half the season. Didn't have great numbers in this game, 19 of 36, 170 yards, but played his best in the biggest moments of the game late. That 2-minute drive, the 2-point run. He was Houdini, making guys miss. The touchdown throw in overtime was on 3rd down, and then the great effort late right there. They've got good receivers and good running backs. They're going to be a tough out for everybody in the Big Ten.
Indiana coming off 8 wins last year, but Penn State, they're set to play Ohio State next week. That game taking on a whole other meaning after this upset. Want to take you to Alabama now in their annual rivalry game, 3rd weekend of October, taking on Tennessee. Scary moment here. Nick Saban has never lost to Tennessee at Alabama. Opening kickoff, Jalen Waddle injures his ankle. We're told he's out for the year.
It's a tough situation. You hate to see a playmaker like this go out for Alabama, but they got so many more weapons.
And here's one of them, John Mechie.
They got John Mechie. They got Devontae Smith. They got guys that can stretch the field and make plays in traffic.
They also have Najee Harris up the middle. Alabama up 28-10 at that point. 3rd quarter, Tennessee looking to convert on 3rd down. and Eric Gray. It's just been a turnover disaster for the Volunteers. Malachi Moore, scoop and score.
It's been an Alabama defense that has given up a lot of points early in this season, but this is a big touchdown to build some confidence.
How about 14 straight for the Tide over Tennessee? When we come back, Ohio State got things started on Saturday, and it was a beatdown against Nebraska. We'll show you highlights coming up next.
Concessions.
I'll take a Dos Equis.
One ice cold. Call to set up service for your business today. CES, big enough to serve you, small enough to know you.
This halftime report is presented by State Farm and their surprisingly great rates.
Matt, Jesse, Joey back with you, playing for the Little Brown Jug. Purchased back in 1903 for 30 cents.
There you go.
Little Matt stat for you. Tanner Morgan rolls out, finds Coke Keefe's 14-yard
And a
touchdown.
block punt helped set this up. So Minnesota seizing momentum early.
Yeah, 7-0 Golden Gophers. All of a sudden, Zach Charbonnet has a hole that any one of us could have run through.
This is what this Michigan offense has missed in the past years, is the big play capability. This one gets them moving.
All right, so this hit goes from good defense to just absolutely, look at this. And then Donovan Jeter does the rest.
Yeah, just, with Don Brown and this Michigan defense, they're coming after your quarterback. They're bringing pressure from everywhere. Tanner Morgan never saw it.
All kinds of momentum. Ben Mason, the flip for his first career score.
Joe Milton's getting his first start for this Michigan offense. He's 4 of 6 so far.
All right, so Minnesota's just tacked one on to make it 21-17. Earlier in the day, Ohio State getting Nebraska. Adrian Martinez sacked, 7 banks. Scoop and score.
And Ohio State had issues on defense tackling early in this game, but they had 2 key takeaways, and that really blew this thing wide open.
Maybe the play of the day, courtesy of a true freshman, Justin Fields to Jackson Smith and Jigba. Watch the foot.
Justin Fields had 1 incompletion in this entire game, was about to have his second incompletion, but let's go back and take a look.
Look at that.
That's amazing.
Get the toenails down in the
true freshman.
Joe,
nothing but toenails.
You could learn from that. Ohio State's 13th consecutive win by double digits against a Big Ten opponent, 52-17 the final. If you guys like defense. Look, defensive linemen aren't supposed to have abs. Those guys do. Bears, Rams, ESPN, 8 p.m. Eastern, and on the ESPN app.
Hey, Jake from State Farm. I may have told her server you can give her the Rogers ring for her insurance.
LSU, fierce for the future.
You're watching the State Farm Halftime Report.
So 2/3 of this set had a set of Titleists big enough to take Clemson minus the 46 against Syracuse. And Trevor Lawrence to Davis Allen made us look good early.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence also threw his first ever career pick 6, though, and that helped keep this game close.
Don't bring down my momentum. Rex Culpepper fumbles it, recovered by Andrew Booth Jr. We had a scoop and score.
But look at the score. It's 27-21 late in the third. Syracuse turned it over 4 times, or they actually had a chance in this game.
They had the possession to take the lead, and then Clemson woke up. Travis Etienne.
3 rushing touchdowns, got banged up, had to leave the game twice. We'll keep our eye on him moving forward.
27th straight ACC win for Clemson. What about Notre Dame traveling to Pitt? And Ben Skoranek, 34 yards. Talk about a deep threat for Notre Dame.
Yeah, and who said that Notre Dame can't throw the ball, Barry? Book came with more rushing touchdowns than passing touchdowns, but he flipped that today.
This is their guy, Skoranek, 73 yards, the Northwestern transfer.
This is on 3rd and 14. They've got some athletes at receiver that need to start making plays like this. Skoranek at 6'2", climbing the ladder. Guy had 2 catches, 2 scores.
He's not 6'2", he's like 6'5".
Yeah, I think it's,
they have him listed.
I think it's the 11 number.
At Northwestern, he went by Bennett. Now he's a Ben. Book, Michael Mayer, 14.
This is the 4th straight game that Pitt defense has given up over 30 points.
The 42-point margin of victory, largest road win since beating Stanford by 50 in 2003. Miami, Virginia, De'Aaron King to Mike Harley, quick strike, Hurricanes.
And Manny Diaz, head coach, he's looking for receivers to start stepping up and making plays for De'Aaron King.
And then Virginia gets back right in this one. Brennan Armstrong, touchdown throw, left-handed, ties the game at 7.
That might get in top plays. This is a nice play in the air, getting hit, get the left foot down.
Tony Poling, great catch. All right, we're tied at 7. That one on the ACC network. How about the debut for the LSU starting quarterback? Gamecocks got on the board right away. They got a comeback headed their way in Baton Rouge, down 31-10.
This halftime report is presented by State Farm and their surprisingly great rates.
Hey, Jay.
Greatness. I am South Carolina.
Coming into Saturday, 9 FBS teams undefeated, 2 of them Cincinnati, SMU. That coming up over on ESPN2, 9:05. Who gets the win, SMU or Cincinnati?
I'm going Cincinnati. Good defense.
Cincinnati because of that defense and their ability to run it.
Oh, Luke Fickle, eh? Big 12 now. Look at Chuba Hubbard, only undefeated team in the Big 12, still Oklahoma State.
Yeah, get the man from Sherwood Park, Alberta, Canada going here. 140 yards rushing. Great job cutting. This offense was off to a good start.
So third quarter, Oak State looking to add to its lead. Spencer Sanders back for the Pokes, finds Lawrence White.
Yeah, Spencer Sanders finds an interception. Threw 2 in this game, but it was good for Oklahoma State to have Spencer Sanders.
Yeah, picked off there, and then Breece Hall takes the outside, 66 yards.
Maybe the 2 best running backs in the Big 12 going head-to-head in this one. Breece Hall had 187 rushing yards.
Oklahoma State continues to make their case now, 8-1 in their last 9 meetings against the Cyclones.
Yeah, and Spencer Sanders out can run the ball too, Palmer.
24-21. The final for Oklahoma State. This kid was a highly touted true freshman, making his worth known early. It is all by you. 31-10 at the half.
Betts just became the all-time leader in DLTs when he stole tacos in the World Series. Now, America, go steal a Doritos Locos Tacos at Taco Bell on Wednesday, October 28th. Steal a base, steal a taco.
In the time it takes to brew a cup, we'll tell you why Green Mountain Coffee Roasters Nantucket Blend is so smooth. Let's go to one of the places the coffee comes from, Honduras. This is Mario and his wife, Shayla. Mario grows coffee that helps make Nantucket Blend taste phenomenal, so we support his recycling of nutrient-rich water to help make his soil rich, his coffee delicious, and his land stunningly beautiful. It's the second most stunning thing in his life. Number 1, being Shayla. All for a smoother tasting cup. Green Mountain Coffee Roasters, packed with goodness.
Who's playing? Doesn't matter. Nope.
Spectrum TV Silver, with over 175 channels of must-watch TV, including HBO Max. You can watch more of what you like.
You're so bad.
Plus, so much more only on the HBO Max app.
Who's gonna stop me?
Watch HBO on demand, online, and on all your devices with the Spectrum TV app.
Who's having a good time?
Upgrade to Spectrum TV Silver instantly by going to channel 2495 or spectrum.com/getsilver.
There's no better place to have your vehicle serviced than North Shore Toyota. For quality, friendly, expert-level service, the certified technicians at North Shore Toyota have you covered. North Shore Toyota not only services Toyotas, but we also work on all makes and models. With our large service center, we have the capacity to get you in, out, and back on the road quickly. Oil changes, tires, brakes, batteries, even major repairs. North Shore Toyota can help keep your vehicle running its best for less. Call today or schedule a service appointment online at northshoretoyota.com.
Welcome back to ESPN College Football Primetime, presented by PlayStation 5 and the SEC on ESPN. Set for the start of the third quarter at Tiger Stadium. The carry-on Joyner back deep to receive the second half kickoff, but it's LSU with a 31-10 lead. So this could be a pivotal opening possession of the second half for South Carolina. And here's Joyner with a chance to run it back. Out to about the 27-yard line. Bob Wischusen, Dan Orlovsky, Quinn Kesnick, part of the crew tonight. All right, that first half for LSU. Are you more impressed with an offense that managed their way through the game with a true freshman at quarterback, or a defense that had been just bowled over their last 3 games?
Listen, I'm ex-quarterback. I'm taking the quarterback. It takes me a lot for me to say good things about the defense. I think, first of all, because South Carolina's got a good defense, right? And LSU with Finley was very efficient. They really did whatever they wanted. But the biggest thing was he was really good with his decision-making. The ball was never put in harm's way. He got through with progressions, played a rhythm, played a great first half.
Cutback run to start the third quarter for Kevin Harris. As we check out our first half stats, brought to you by PlayStation 5. 330 total yards put up by an offense with a true freshman quarterback making his first ever start. That's not too bad.
Yeah, and it was a little bit of everything, right? The first drive, we saw great offensive line play, and then TJ Finley just got comfortable, and they started to air it out a little bit more, and then at the end of the day, Terrace Marshall was the best player on the field again, and they got him the ball often.
Harris again, spins. Very close, looks like he's got the first down. Was driven back just past the line to gain as we check in with Quinn.
South Carolina coach Will Muschamp emphasized the fact that his defensive front was getting pushed around. He said, we're getting leaned on, and that has to change. Meanwhile, Coach Orgeron really happy for the most part with his defense, although he said people are still running around free in the secondary. But this is a big step up for this Tiger defense, playing closer to their standard than in past weeks.
He's right. We replayed 2 plays in the past game where they had guys open and they just missed them, South Carolina offensively. So Coach O was right. The defensive performance was better. There's still a but there, and it's not as good as it needs to be.
Ollie Gay with the batted ball at the line, so it's 2nd down and 10.
And that's the expectation that he needs to have for his defense, right? I mean, he needs to have a standard that just because we were better doesn't mean it's where it should be.
Well, he said it was embarrassing. We asked Coach O about what he thinks his defense needs to be. Harris gets to the sideline. Down the sideline goes Kevin Harris. Tripped up inside the 15 as Damone Clark saved a touchdown.
Watch the right side of your screen. Jacoby Stevens, 7 there. Right when he dips inside that guard, Harris has got a home run lane downfield. It's the same stuff that hurt them in South Carolina's first drive when they scored. One person doing the wrong thing and where they're supposed to be. Great job by South Carolina with those pullers on the offensive line, getting a big body on the safety.
Luke Doty, the true freshman. A little wildcat here. He was a terrific dual threat quarterback. Our overall number 4 dual threat quarterback as a high school recruit as far as our ESPN recruiting rankings were concerned. So the true freshman gets a chance to run it and picks up 8. And now Colin Hill is back in, 2nd down and 2. Inside the 10. Deshaun Fenwick, 1st and goal. Brought down by Jabril Cox, but he's inside the 4-yard line.
Good push by the interior of that South Carolina offensive line. That's the strength. Douglas and Hutcherson and Gwynn. I think you got to continue to live in that.
Fenwick to the 2-yard line. It will be 2nd down and goal.
I think this is a good opportunity for a little, like a hard ball, play action fake, and just wrap someone in towards the back of the end zone. You've got this run game has really come alive in this first 4 plays for your offense. I think that LSU defense is going to have some nosy eyes, especially at the linebacker level. You can get a little play fake and pop pass over the top.
They've got Kevin Harris back in as the lone setback. Straight ahead run. Kevin Harris at the goal line. Clark stands him up. And he will be marked down at the half-yard line. Kevin Harris thought he might have broken the plane. The officials say no. 3rd down and goal.
Wow. I think that ball's in his right arm. And I don't know if it crosses that goal line. It's a great meet by Clark and Flop, the corner, to kind of fit at the goal line.
Is under video review. Well, certainly that one look we just had justifies the replay booth saying, whoa,
yeah,
let's take a look at this because he may have broken the plane. Ruled down at the half-yard line on the field, so it has to be indisputable that the ball breaks the plane to change that ruling. You have to see the football.
And that's his left arm.
Yeah, I don't see
the ball's in the right. Yeah, I think the ball's in the right.
And I don't know how this angle is going to show you anything.
I mean, I think it's as close as you can get without scoring, but I don't think that there's any video evidence that you overturn that.
After video review, the ruling on the field stands. 3rd down.
And if you're South Carolina here, the heart and the best part of your offense is your center and 2 guards, Hutcherson, Douglas, and Gwynn. This should be more than likely a quarterback sneak in between the left guard and the center.
Oh, they are not in a quarterback sneak formation. They're going to run it straight ahead, right behind the center with Kevin Harris for the touchdown. Well, Kevin Harris with a 49-yard run got this drive started. So appropriate that he finishes it off.
You see the movement from Douglas and Hutcherson, left guard and center, great push. And Harris just follows. That's a great drive to start this half for
It's
South Carolina.
exactly what South Carolina needed.
And I think you feel okay if you're South Carolina because LSU's one score is on defense. And so right now you're going, okay, if we protect the football, we've got our run game going, our defense has got to come out and get a stop, and we feel okay.
The Gamecocks open up the 3rd quarter with a touchdown.
Curio.
El Trafico, LAFC, taking on the LA Galaxy at Bank of California Stadium tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern on ABC, ESPN Deportes, and the ESPN app. Bob Wischusen, Dan Orlovsky, Quint Kesnick, and we just watched Kevin Harris spearhead a 9-play touchdown drive. All of the yards gained on the ground. 8 rushes for 74 yards and a touchdown, and most of it to Kevin Harris.
That's the commitment to their run game. It's exactly what they do well. Mike Bobo does a really good job of understanding that's who they want to be. And they've got a big physical offensive line. It's a great drive. Like, that's exactly what they needed to start this second half.
On the dead run, fumbling the ball is Trey Palmer. Picks it up. Now he's got no momentum. Still finds a crease. Trey Palmer gets loose. Turns the corner, gets to midfield. Can any Gamecock have an angle to bring him down before the end zone? They cannot. Touchdown.
Watch Palmer just bobble it first. Composure, pick it up. Find a seam, set your feet, burst. Bye-bye. 98 with the missed tackle. Beat the kicker. Run away with speed. Big play for the Tigers.
Well, a kickoff return that looked like it might be disastrous to start becomes a 95-yard touchdown. It looks like Lloyd Cole being helped off the field.
Palmer's a 100-meter and 200-meter champion.
It showed.
I guess you like when you're that and you bobble the kickoff, you're okay, right? Like when you know, okay, I'm the fastest person in the state, I can pick it up and go.
Flag down on the point after attempt by Cade York. I guess also when you look up and the only guy that's lowering his shoulder at you is wearing 98, about half your size.
Ball start.
And it's a kicker.
Kicking team, number 69. 5-yard penalty. Repeat the try.
Not good for the brand. As my buddy Pat McAfee would say, that's not good for the brand. Now, I know Pat would have sawed that returner off. Pat would have sawed Palmer off, but it's a bad look for punters and or kickers everywhere.
Going for a South Carolina team that has not won in Death Valley since 1994. What a gut punch. To come out, start the 3rd quarter, and put together the exact drive that you needed. 74 yards, all on the ground. Your best player making great plays in Kevin Harris. And you just turn around and give up a 95-yard kickoff return for a touchdown.
I think sometimes what happens is when you see the returner bobble, like the coverage unit will hesitate. Palmer didn't. And you see the electric speed, the ability to shoot through a gap, a hole, and just a long speed ability. What a turnaround for LSU.
It's been a long time since Death Valley had a kickoff return for a touchdown, all the way back to 1981. Quint?
Well, I'm standing on the 7-yard line. He bobbles the ball, and you're like, oh no, this has gone from bad to worse for LSU. But Prentice, the fullback for South Carolina, over pursues it, doesn't break down, and that momentary bobbling changes the whole timing of the pursue lanes for the defense. And LSU able to capitalize. Unbelievable. Bad to good in a moment.
Yeah, the old no, 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 yes play.
Good play.
And that's exactly the way it worked out for LSU. And just like that, their lead pushed back to 3 touchdowns. And this one not returnable for Joyner.
Watch 46 on the right side of your screen. Missed tackle. Here comes the kicker. Missed tackle. Barely touches him. And then the ability to outrun everybody. But Quint's right. Like, you see that bobble, and it throws off your angles, your timing. I never played kickoff coverage, thank God. I would have looked like 98.
Colin Hill off the pitch fake. Down the sideline, perfectly thrown ball to Kavion Mullins. And he's in the red zone before he's dragged down from behind. The tight end streaking down the sideline, and Cordell Flott saved a touchdown. And Mullins shaken up.
Watch Flott right here at corner. Mullins is going to go up the sideline. He's going to have his eyes in the backfield. He's not supposed to. They're going to swing the back out and give him a little bit of a fake toss. Eyes in the backfield. He settles his feet up the sideline. Coach O is going to be sitting over there go, where are your eyes supposed to be? That's all that hurts this LSU defense is poor eye discipline. It happens again.
Exactly what Bo Pelini told us.
Where's your
attention?
attention?
Talked to him this week as well. Fenwick down right at the line of scrimmage. Brought down by Siaki Ika.
I mean, I could probably point to, goodness, 10 to 12 plays from the first 4 games of LSU's defense that look just like that. That 10 guys do it really well, and 1 guy does something that is just on his own. That's not what he's coached up to do, and it crushes the defense.
And look again, tripped up again. Again, it's Siaki Ika. Micah Baskerville finished him off, but Siaki Ika got through and made back-to-back plays behind the line of scrimmage. Now it's 3rd down and 10.
And the theme has been bad eye discipline for this LSU defense. So you've got to do something if you're South Carolina to take advantage of that. You're going to get press coverage, but it's going to be quarters defense where everyone's going to have a quarter of the field, but physical inside.
4-man rush. Hill cut down by Ojolari again. The 3rd time the true freshman has gotten back and gotten a sack of Colin Hill.
It's great effort by Ojolari on the left side of the screen. Watch the right hand punch. Shove the tackle out of the way. Turn in time and get home. I think that's been the most impressive thing out of Ojolari is the strength. He's only 220, 225 pounds, but the strength.
Shade inside 41 yards. For Parker White, 1 for 3 so far tonight. Off the upright. He's 1 for 4. to get the big play down the sideline to Kavion Mullins to be in the red zone with a first down. They come away empty. Hurts the Gamecocks.
Die Hard batteries, owned and sold by Advance and CarQuest Auto Parts.
Next Saturday night on Halloween, Justin Fields will lead number 5 Ohio State into State College to take on Penn State in a Big Ten matchup that could affect the college football playoff. 7:30 Eastern at Beaver Stadium on ABC and the ESPN app, and flashing all the way back to August 11th when the Big Ten postponed fall sports. Justin Fields had a lot to do with spurring the movement to get Big Ten football back, and eventually on September 16th, the announcement was made, and this weekend has finally arrived. The Big Ten is back in part of the college football landscape once again. LSU in the SEC here leading 38-17. And here's Ty Davis-Price. He's got a first down. Well, Dan, I've got some golfing buddies, I think, watching the game right now, and you and I can certainly, like they can, I think, relate to this graphic. And that is shots missed badly. And that is for Parker White, who's over there on the sideline. I think right now, knowing he left 9 points out there on the field, and also a touchdown run back on special teams for LSU as Davis-Price picks up 9 more. That's a 16-point swing in this game on special teams. And Will Muschamp knows that's just about the differential.
Good football team that LSU is more talented than, right? So to come in here tonight, you're going to have to play a really good game, a clean game. And what that graphic is showing us is it hasn't been. The 54-yard kick, okay, that's let's see what happens. But the 2 missed that Parker White should make, and then the kick return, especially on the bobble by Trey Palmer, like that's when you go, those are the plays that you're looking at and going, this should be really closer to a 1-score game.
2nd down and 1. And bully ball for Ty Davis-Price for the first down. And then toss in the pick 6 for Eli Ricks.
Right.
So when LSU has had an opportunity for their defense to either set up a score or to score themselves or take advantage of an advantage in special teams, they have done so. And this right now is a game of missed opportunities for South Carolina.
And don't forget, when Mukwamu got the interception, has that big return, LSU flipped it to a hold and a forced field goal.
Fumble. And Davis-Price quickly covers it up off the muffed exchange with TJ Finley.
RPO, just watch. At some point, Finley, you got to make your decision. Are you giving it or you're taking it? Davis-Price is sitting there going, hey, you got to be very clear with what you're doing. If you're going to give it to me, give it, and I'm going to squeeze down. But if you're going to take it, you got to snatch that thing and pull away from him quickly. So I've got a very clear understanding you're taking that football.
4-man rush. Finley out of the pocket. Flips it down the sideline, and coming back to help out his quarterback is Jaray Jenkins for the first down.
What a great play. Finley, great patience in the pocket. Okay, 1's not there. Get to 2, it's not there. Let me leave the pocket. Iced out field. Great job by Jenkins throwing his hand up and then coming back, like you said, Bob, to the football. Go help your young quarterback out. That's a great job of Jenkins having feel. Quarterback leaves the pocket, run with him. One-on-one in the slot.
2 yards as Ty Davis-Price submarines. Ernest Jones there to help on the tackle. And there was an altercation away from the play that the crowd was reacting to as Racey McMath got into it, I think, with J.C. Horn.
They got into it a couple plays ago. McMath's not backing down. Neither is J.C. Horn.
Right up the middle goes Davis-Price. inside the 15, inside the 10, and inside the 5 before he's finally brought down. It is first and goal, LSU.
Look at 53, just at the top of that screen, Ernest Jones. He's thinking pass on that RPO. That leaves nobody in that box for Davis Price in a big run for this LSU offense. That's sometimes how these RPOs, you put those guys in conflict. They think pass. When you've got that offensive line blocking run, they get great push and against great numbers.
The runner was down at the 4-yard line. First down.
So they back it up from the 2 to the 4. But how about the balance for LSU offensively? Over 400 yards of total offense, 173 on the ground, 230 through the air. And the play clock's winding down. They just put the ball at the 4-yard line, and I think Ed Orgeron wants to challenge the call on the field to move the ball back to the 4-yard line. So we'll see, as he calls timeout, how this works out when we come back.
We'll serve America well.
I'm Bill Cassidy. I approve this message.
We are back. Bob Wischusen and Dan Orlovsky, and we're welcoming in Matt Austin, our SEC referee and our rules expert, as to why, Matt, Ed Orgeron could not challenge the spot a moment ago.
Well, spots are only reviewable in relationship to a
Well, it is first and goal at the 4-yard line. And here is Davis Price. Academic. He is at the goal line. And it looks like he's in for the touchdown. South Carolina thought they had him stopped maybe shy of the goal line, but the officials say no. Breaking the plane was Ty Davis Price, and that extends the LSU lead.
Really on the field is a touchdown.
Yeah, he breaks the plane there. Good push, right? Gets stood up there, but keeps his legs going. A little bit of a push, and then right there crosses. Great finish by Davis Price. Capping off an impressive drive by this LSU offense. A lot going with that drive. Some fights. A review that we couldn't review. Good finish by the LSU run game.
And in case you didn't hear Matt Austin's explanation, I think his microphone cut out. Spots are only challengeable when it comes to the importance of either a first down or short of the first down line to gain, the goal line, breaking the plane, scoring. So the concern would be that you'd constantly have replay getting involved or coaches challenging left and right if you wanted to challenge a spot, move the ball 2 or 3 yards. So that's why that spot was not challengeable, and it didn't turn out to matter much anyway, because LSU and Ty Davis Price, they pick up the touchdown, and now 177 yards rushing tonight as a team for LSU. Dominant performance at the line of scrimmage, and we still have over 4 minutes to go in the third quarter.
So that's no timeout challenge to Coach O either, right? Or charged, excuse me. Steve Ensminger said he wanted to get the run going a little bit. He really wanted to get back to running the football. And I mentioned it before. If you're going to play coverage, you're going to say, okay, you know, we want to put 2 safeties to Terrace Marshall's side or Gilbert's side. Like then you've got a numbers advantage for your run game, and LSU's taking advantage of it.
Well, let's take a look at tonight's fighting spirit moment, brought to you by Modelo.
Everyone does their job, especially in coverage. Guys fight to go get sacks. Ojulari started it off early. Again, cover down. Ojulari beating that left tackle again. Fight, coverage sacks. And then how about the pick 6? Eli Rick steps in front of the slant. Big playmaking ability by the freshman from California. LSU defense has given up its fair share of plays tonight, but when everyone has done what they're supposed to, they play good team defense.
Colin Hill to the sideline. Incomplete, looking for Shi Smith. Well, we asked Ed Orgeron about his defense this week. He said, it's embarrassing. It is not how we play defense here. I figured if we held teams to 20 points, we'd win all year because I knew we'd score 30, but we score 41 and we lose, describing the loss to Missouri a couple of weeks ago. Well, if he challenged his defense, they have responded tonight. Kevin Harris. Let's check in with Matt Barry.
All right, guys, checking in now on Boise State taking on Utah State. Hank Bachmeier picking up where he left off as a freshman. This one's all Boise State early, 28-7 in the third.
Third down and 6 here.
That's the middle of the field.
Kevin Harris has the first down and more. Bumped out of bounds by Eli Ricks.
It's a really nice job there, Colin Hill, of just realizing the linebacker hung inside and kick it outside, and Harris go make the play. I want to go back to the defense because I said, okay, Coach O, like if the defense gets it flipped, why does it get it flipped? Like what happens? He said, okay, we're going to get less complicated, less communication. We're going to find leaders that hold each other accountable. We're going to put our cleats in the ground, and we're going to play urgent. And I think there's been signs of that tonight. You know, outside of a handful of plays, there has been signs of that for this defense.
Swing pass, and they are able to corral Kevin Harris and bring him down. That's a good play. Eli Ricks out there in pursuit with Micah Baskerville. And, you know, Quint, you watched LSU's defense a couple of weeks ago come apart at the seams. What have you noticed tonight that's different?
Well, there's less movement pre-snap, although that last play, there was a guy substituting as the ball was being. Job of being lined up. I'm watching communication in the secondary, hand signals and voices, and it's not loud here, which helps.
Harris to midfield. Baskerville bumped him out. It'll be third down and 3.
When it comes to the communication, like communication has to be a two-way street, right? Like there's been times on film where somebody makes a check, a secondary guy makes a check, and you can see him hand signaling and communicating, but everyone else is looking at the ball. No one is kind of showing correspondence that's in, I got you, you know, and so people are on different pages. And when you're on different pages in college football right now, like teams will find that and attack you. And that's the difference tonight, at least again, for most of the snaps, is they've communicated together.
Shovel pass. And that looks to be good enough for a first down to Jalen Brooks, who they have tried to get the ball downfield to a couple of times tonight. This 81 is a player that Will Muschamp thought was going to be an impact player for South Carolina, a transfer from Wingate, who applied for immediate eligibility and originally was denied, and then just this past week he was told to him at practice that his appeal had come through, and he's making his debut for South Carolina tonight.
Big-bodied receiver, really good job there when Colin Hill, like, just flash your hands to him and make sure you give him a place to throw the ball. I like this matchup at the bottom with the tight ends.
Good protection for Hill. Steps up in the pocket. Now he's going to try to take off and run. And he will not even get back near the original line of scrimmage. He'll lose a couple of yards. Anytime Colin Hill ends up at the bottom of a pile, you hold your breath if you know anything about what he has been through. He had a relationship with Mike Bobo, of course, played for him at Colorado State and came as a grad transfer to South Carolina. Well, why did he have eligibility left? It's because he tore his ACL 3 times in 2016, 2018, and 2019. Had a red shirt back in 2017, still recovering from one of those ACL tears. And yet here he is at Tiger Stadium throwing an NFL ball to the outside that can't be hauled in by Josh Vann. So it's third down and 11.
Incredible perseverance, right? I mean, and I think that's part of the reason why he won the job for South Carolina. You know, they say he's a calming presence. calming presence, but the toughness really was a difference maker with them deciding, okay, Colin, we're going to go with you.
It's a great story, too. He's from Moore, South Carolina, so this was an opportunity to come home and play 1 and maybe 2 more years. Flag down as this play blown dead at the line of scrimmage. It's going to be against LSU.
Offside, defense, number 3. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down. Please reset the game clock to 17 seconds.
And of course, Colin Hill and all of these players, Dan, this season will get this year of eligibility back next year. So this isn't necessarily a one and done grad transfer and say goodbye if you're Colin Hill.
You see these guys bumped. They're playing man-to-man coverage across the line of scrimmage. You got to get guys running away, play horizontal ball, and think of meshes and rubs.
Instead, they'll run it up the middle, and getting tripped up is Deshaun Fenwick as Micah Baskerville again grabbed him around the ankle, and that should take us to the end of the 3rd quarter. Well, Will Muschamp's team has dug themselves quite a hole as we head to the 4th.
That's the end of the 3rd quarter.
Special teams playing a huge role in this game. Trey Palmer with the 95-yard touchdown return.
Today tastes like a home game. From elderberries grown and picked at their prime. Choose the way to quality immune support. Choose Nature's Way Sambucus.
Welcome back to Baton Rouge and the SEC on ESPN. Bob Wischusen, Dan Orlovsky, and Quint Kesnick set for the start of the 4th quarter. Good start for South Carolina all the way back in the 1st when they went right down the field on their opening drive and scored, but it has basically been nothing but Bayou Bengals since. 4th and 5 to start off the 4th. And that is an incomplete pass for Shi Smith. Ordell flopped there in coverage. No flag comes out. Turnover on downs. How about the true freshman?
When you're throwing versus zone, you got to anticipate windows. Play fake, see 53 Ernest Jones move. Get the ball out on time, Rip. On that crosser. How about this inbreaker? Watch Terrace Marshall take the top off of the defense. Watch when he throws his ball out. That's called anticipation, folks. Throw it into windows. Take his sternum with that throw because it's a freaking rope. Gosh, that was sweet by him. What a great job of throwing into windows versus zone coverage by the true freshman.
Let's check in with Matt Barry.
Guys, coming into Saturday, there were 2 of 9 of the undefeated FBS teams resided in the American, Cincinnati, and SMU. Here's Desmond Ritter taking it in for the Bearcats. They're up on the ponies early, 14-0.
You know, Luke Fickell's got himself a football team. That is a legit squad that belongs in the top 10 for Cincinnati.
Really good coach.
DJ Finley, quarterback draw. And he's got about a 2.5, maybe a 3-yard gain. So it will be 3rd down and 3.
See him getting up just a little gingerly. I don't want to call the true freshman's number carries anymore. I've seen enough tonight.
Even at 240 pounds?
I'm okay.
All right.
Need to see that.
Well, you got Miles Brennan, the normal starting quarterback on the bench with a lower body injury. You don't need TJ Finley to pick one up as well, I guess. 3rd down and 3. Slant on time. We haven't called Eric Gilbert's number much tonight, but he makes an impact play here.
You saw him move. He was in line to begin with. They kick him out as a receiver, push him up 3-step slant. Hands catch. Cross through traffic. And that's a tight end, folks. That's a tight end moving like a wide receiver.
6'5", 250.
I liked it, though. They had him at tight end. They saw it was man-to-man. Let's kick him out as a receiver and give him some space to win.
Here's Chris Curry. Pulled down after a gain of a couple by Damani Staley.
Remember, this pass game is a lot of what the New Orleans Saints are notorious for running, right? Joe Brady brought some of it over, and Ensminzinger's kind of taking it and running it this year with Scott Linehan. And a big part of years ago for the Saints was Jimmy Graham, moving Jimmy Graham out. And then it's even Jared Cook now, and that's the role that Gilbert's going to play, is that piece that they can get information from, but also use matchup advantages for the offense.
Little pop pass, Coy Moore, true freshman to true freshman, and a first down in the red zone. You had talked about it before, Dan, but it probably bears repeating. When you watch TJ Finley, a young man along with Max Johnson that both got early to LSU and spent time in the meeting room with Joe Burrow last year while they got ready for the college football playoff, and the coaching staff thought that both of these freshman quarterbacks absorbed a lot of information during that time.
Yeah, the understanding, right? And the ability to learn that offense. And also the fact that TJ Finley played for a historic program in LSU by Coach Tierney that ran veer for a long time, but then decided to go to this spread offense that LSU came down and helped install to them. And they went to a spread offense.
Hard run by Emery down to about the 6-yard line.
They go to the spread offense, and so he's been running this offense for a little bit back in high school, even in that historic program.
And Ed Orgeron said it basically was up to practice this past Wednesday before he, even on Thursday, had to decide between these two freshman quarterbacks. Said it could have easily been Max Johnson. That if TJ Finley won the battle, he won it by a sliver.
And he said it was because some of the plays that they made on third down period
in practice.
On Wednesday in practice, TJ made 1 or 2 more throws, and he wanted to let the team know by Thursday who he was going with.
Emery again, short of the first down.
And he also told us the plan was to get Max Johnson snaps unless TJ was playing so well. You know, unless TJ's performance was going, there's no reason for me to take him off the field with the rhythm that he's playing with in driving our offense down. He's been great. There's third down. That's what won him the job during this week.
And he dives forward on third down to pick up the first down to make it 1st and goal.
And so we got to think, let's go back. Again, I want to mention that his high school program ran the veer for a long time. Started to run this LSU offense. He's in meetings, and now he's starting.
And we have an injured offensive lineman. Is that Austin Deculus, the tackle?
Someday, I'm going to marry you. Someday, we'll buy that little place on Ellsworth. Some days.
Today at Bill Hood Chevrolet in Covington.
TJ Finley was courted by many of the top programs in college football, but from Ponchatoula, and he decided to stay home in Louisiana and play for the Bayou Bengals. Collapsed into his family's arms when he made the decision. And Ed Orgeron told us one of the best nights he's ever had was when he went to the Finley home for recruiting. So they were playing Christmas music, they had the Cajun food, they gave him a standing ovation when he walked in the house. Here's Finley handing one off to Emery, and he gets stuffed on his way up the middle. He said, we had a blast. I didn't want to leave. Yeah. He said it was a recruiting trip I literally didn't want to end.
I wouldn't want to leave either if I walked into a place with a standing ovation. I said, what's the most impressive thing about TJ? I asked Coach O this, and he said, when he came here, he requested to have his own room because he wanted to make sure that he was all ball, the ability to focus on learning on his time. It showed Coach O, like, the maturity that was going to be needed for him to kind of have the opportunity to take over this offense if and when the time came.
And look at him managing the clock as well, making sure he gets under center with 5 on the play clock before he gives it to Emery, who goes over the top and into the end zone for another touchdown.
Watch Emery. He launches from about the 3.5 yard line and gets a yard plus into the end zone. Kevin Falk, the legend, running back coach now at LSU.
So now John Emery Ty Davis-Price and TJ Finley, all with rushing touchdowns in the game. 466 yards of offense for LSU and 52 on the board.
Owned and sold by Advance and CarQuest Auto Parts.
ESPN College Football is presented by PlayStation 5. Play has no limits. And in part by Goodyear, helping you discover the road ahead. Goodyear, more driven.
Terrace Marshall had a chance to dance in the end zone twice because he was on the receiving end of 2 TJ Finley touchdown passes. And LSU got their true freshman settled early, and he has responded with a terrific performance. And a very interesting situation maybe starting to develop here for LSU. We just, during the timeout, saw Max Johnson starting to warm up. So the other true freshman quarterback may get an opportunity to play a couple of possessions here in the fourth quarter for LSU. But if Miles Brennan is healthy enough to come back next week against Auburn, what do you do? Is TJ Finley now your starting quarterback going forward? Or does Miles Brennan not lose his job because of injury?
That's why I'm glad I'm not paid to do that. I think it's going to be really hard to not trot TJ Finley out there.
Colin Hill on the slant to Shi Smith. He's across midfield before he's knocked out of bounds. Now keep in mind, Miles Brennan, in his first 3 games this season, threw for more completions, more yards, and more touchdowns than any LSU quarterback has ever thrown for through his first 3 starts. He's also the first LSU quarterback to have 300 or more yards passing in the first 3 games of his career.
Right.
And he's going to lose his job?
I understand that sounds somewhat harsh.
Colin Hill hit as he throws to the end zone, still managed to get it to Shi Smith, who draws the pass interference penalty markers as he was knocked down by Cameron Lewis at the goal line.
You know what plays into this conversation is
pass interference, defense, number 31, 15-yard penalty from the previous spot, automatic first down.
The transfer portal, like it's a factor, it's a variable now, because once a coach makes a decision, you might send off wheels in motion, you know, like, hey, TJ, we're gonna sit you down, it's Miles' job again. You don't know what could happen after that. Maybe, well, coach, I had the opportunity, I played great. You know, why am I sitting down? And then a conversation happens. Or a Max Johnson's going, well, I never got the opportunity. Or if you trot TJ out there, then Miles Brennan's going, well, then I'm going to leave. You know, transfer portals become a very real thing for these coaching staffs to have to try to manage through these situations.
A little dump off and a cutback. And Deshaun Fenwick very close to the first down. Quinn?
I mean, the transfer portal makes it so that coaches have to continually re-recruit their own rosters. And that in itself is tiresome and painful. And you think about, you develop a player, you put the time in, and then he leaves, the investment you make. It's just an interesting situation. And obviously at the quarterback position, it's even more
LSU.
critical.
And I will tell you both when we come back why I have no sympathy for these coaches. We are back with our Corona premiere moment. And Dan, this was a moment in the game that really felt like a killer blow to South Carolina right after they had opened the third quarter with a touchdown drive. Trey Palmer, 95 yards.
The sophomore from Louisiana. You saw the bobble, but then the home run speed, and you pointed out, Bob, like right after that drive, that happens. And it totally swung all momentum for this football team. And it's been all LSU since.
Colin Hill, first down in the red zone. under pressure. This time he avoids a sack behind the line, but eventually he's brought down again by B.J. Ojulari.
LSU's found a pass rusher. Now you got to be ecstatic with what you've seen out of Ojulari if you're LSU's defensive staff. Effort as a pass rusher.
Looks like a timeout has been called by LSU on defense before the flag was thrown.
There's no foul for illegal participation prior to the snap. Timeout. LSU. Second charge timeout.
Step aside as LSU.
This is a 30-second timeout. Correction, this is a media timeout.
Hey, Pam, what's that?
New slices and sticks. Half pizza, half Italian cheese sticks. What's that?
I spent a butter hump.
An unexpected combination. Just $6.
Acres away!
Pizza.
Okay, I'm up. 5 more minutes.
Break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar.
Zero left. Tarun. Clear.
Do you really want to go through with this?
Absolutely.
You've always stood up for what you believed in, but this?
What could mean more than this? So, Mom, what do you think?
Look, Limu! Someone out there needs help customizing their car insurance with Liberty Mutual, so they only pay for what they need. False alarm. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, liberty, liberty. Incomparable design makes it beautiful. State-of-the-art technology makes it brilliant. The visionary Lexus NX.
Lease the 2021 NX 300 for $359 a month for 36 months.
Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer.
Connor wants to name his kids after B-Dub sauces. Hope you want a whole litter, because we've got 26 sauces and seasonings. So gas up the minivan, because Mango Habanero has a dentist appointment, and Honey Barbecue is late for ballet. Buffalo Wild Wings.
I'm not your grandma.
I don't nap every 20 minutes.
And I don't drink your grandma's ginger ale. I drink Canada Dry bold ginger.
With an extra kick of real ginger taste that'd blow the tennis balls off your grandma's walker.
New Canada Dry bold ginger, not your grandma's ginger ale.
All right, LSU fans waiting with bated breath. Dan Orlovsky, the white smoke has come out of the chimney, and you have made your quarterback decision. Who's the starter for LSU going forward?
Yeah, it would be TJ Finley for me. After watching tonight, the moment was never too big for him. He never once went to the wrong place with the football. Again, the interception was a miscommunication. I think that he takes the LSU offense to a level that Miles Brennan can't. Just strictly off talent, his quote-unquote ceiling or his ability to be really, 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 really good is higher.
Rashad Amos now in the game for the first time, helping in pass protection. It's a lob to the pylon for Shi Smith, incomplete. Eli Ricks was there in coverage. And back to my point about the coaches earlier.
Yeah, I want to
You talked about how hard it is to re-recruit your roster, or it's tough to be the coach, lose a player to the transfer portal. And my answer to that would be, I could care less how this inconveniences the coaches. Coaches in college football, the head coaches of programs like this are making $6, $7, sometimes $10 million a year. You can be inconvenienced and you can lose a player to the transfer portal if it means one of these guys gets a chance to go somewhere and play. Colin Hill out of the pocket, and he will throw this one away. So to me, if you're Miles Brennan and you get told that TJ Finley is now the quarterback and you're in the transfer portal and that's a problem for LSU, then that's a problem for LSU, and I could care less. If I'm Miles Brennan and now I'm looking at maybe my college career is over if I don't go somewhere else and play, I'm in the transfer portal and I'm going to go somewhere else and play.
Yeah, but that's because you don't have heart. I would feel bad if I was the coach. Like, I feel bad having to sit down and tell that young man I'm going with someone else when you haven't really done anything to lose your job. That's, like, I just would feel bad, that's all.
Got it. Hill with a swing pass. That's caught by Deshaun Fenwick. I mean, I'm from New Jersey. It goes without saying that I'm heartless.
That's when you said got it, I knew something was coming.
Yeah.
I just think that would be the only caveat I would have.
But look,
it's a tough call.
Yes,
but I guess emotional.
If you're a top 10 quarterback recruit in America and you go to LSU, that's kind of what you're signing up for. There's a pass to the back of the end zone, and that looks to be good for a touchdown to Josh Vann. So Colin Hill off the play action fake finds Vann wide open. And unfortunately for South Carolina, it's going to be too little too late as they've been doubled up in this game by LSU. LSU has scored in all 3 phases of the game. They have scored on special teams, their defense has scored, but their offense led by this true freshman. And maybe TJ Finley is the starting quarterback going forward.
I think he adds a little bit into their run game, especially down in the red zone. You see the quarterback sweep. Big athletic fellow going around the edge. The quarterback sneak to finish a drive. How about a touch? I love this throw to the back corner to Terrace Marshall down in the red zone. Delivering that strike to Marshall, crossing on that slant, and then his big playmaking ability. He got hit on that play as well, hanging in the pocket. Everything I've asked TJ Finley to do tonight, if I'm the coaches for LSU, that's the gritty, by the way, that dance. Everything I've asked him to do, he's done. Everything I've asked him to do, he's operated our offense at such an efficient level. And he adds a little bit to our run game in situational football, 3rd and shorts, 4th down. We saw a couple quarterback sneaks down in the red zone. And I think, like, after one start, we always talk about where does a guy make his big jump year 1 to where 2. It's also game 1 to game 2. And if they go to him next week, I think you'll see another big jump.
That would be pretty good off a 17 for 21 performance, 265, and a couple of touchdowns. Trey Palmer on the run back may have put his hand up. Any gesture in college football kills
Rolling
the
on
play.
the field is a fair catch signal given. Once the ball touched the ground and recovered by the receiving team, it's dead at that spot. First down LSU.
And you make any fair catch signal at all, even a non-fair catch signal, you gesture in any way, it stops the play in college football. So, Quint, how about your take on this LSU quarterback situation? You've seen, as now Max Johnson enters the game, you'll have seen in person all 3 of these guys play.
Yes, and I think what stands out is the way LSU has called this game differently today. They've really committed to the running game, and they've wanted to be balanced. And what really stands out, as you see Ty Davis-Price off the right side, committed to LSU after Finley. Okay, Finley was recruited as a 10th grader. Max Johnson, who's like the 9th rated quarterback in the country, stacked the class. Second quarterback would sign with LSU, and now we get to see him play. And talking to the coaches this week, he wasn't that far behind Finley.
Quint's microphone was cutting out a bit, but I think made a good point. It is interesting that when you get a prospect the likes of TJ Finley, the #1 quarterback in the state of Louisiana, he stays home, he goes to LSU, and then Max Johnson, who is now in the game, handing the ball off to Davis-Price. And Max Johnson was, at least in terms of our recruiting rankings, Dan, the #6 pocket passer and a top 130 prospect in America. He chooses to come and jump in that same quarterback room. It creates a heck of a competition.
And we've mentioned a couple times tonight that he was close. They love his athleticism. The thing that they've said about Max Johnson, he looks like the son of a Super Bowl winning quarterback from the NFL, and that's Brad Johnson. Like, his feet, his understanding of the offense, his ability to maneuver in the pocket are very good. And just because TJ Finley's had a great start doesn't mean that he doesn't have the future at LSU either. It's one game. But I think tomorrow, or at least next week, you're going, TJ Finley's our guy.
And there's another first down carry for Ty Davis-Price. Back to Matt Barry.
Yeah, guys, I'll keep the highly touted quarterback theme going. Joe Milton, when he came out of high school, highly touted. In fact, the first Harbaugh recruited quarterback to start for him at Michigan. 42-24 Wolverines over Minnesota. Coming up, likely to kick on ESPN News, another highly touted quarterback coming out of high school, Zach Wilson and BYU and Texas State. We'll move that back to ESPN when your game goes final.
Well, the way LSU has run the ball tonight, these last 5 minutes and 45 seconds might go by pretty quickly because they have dominated the line of scrimmage. 224 yards rushing, and now Max Johnson adding to it 8 more for the Bayou Bengals. And, of course, the bloodlines run deep as that is little Max in his dad's arms after he won the Super Bowl with Coach Gruden. That is a picture for the really ages cool. Right there. That is as good as it gets. And now Brad Johnson has been coaching Max since, quote, he came out of the womb. He joined the Tigers also with TJ Finley early and spent time with Joe Burrow during the college football playoff bowl prep.
They love where he is mentally. They've talked about how ahead mentally he is for a freshman. He's got a really bright future as well. Great thrower of the football, and again, understanding of where to go with it.
And it's another first down for Ty Davis-Price.
It's not bad. Father, Brad Johnson, won a Super Bowl. Mother, volleyball player. I didn't know Mark Richt was his uncle. I guess I gotta apologize to my kids for
the things you learn on our show.
My kids for not kind of having such a good gene pool for them.
Well, he really took off as a senior in high school. Now, Max Johnson, when he was a sophomore and a junior, combined 18 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. But his senior year of high school threw for over 2,100 yards, 30 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions. And, boy, that shot his stock up. Good tackle at the line of scrimmage by Zach Pickens. So the majority of the touchdown to interception ratio that worked in his favor came during his senior year.
And these are great reps for him, right? Like, these are great reps for him to get into a night game at home, an SEC football game versus a good opponent in South Carolina, and just get a feel for taking snaps in college football. I think one of the questions that I think this coaching staff is going to ask itself as well is this a national championship contending football team this year when it comes to the quarterback spot? This year, are they going to contend for a national title? No. So that's going to factor into that quarterback decision making as well, in my opinion.
Davis-Price off the draw. The rushing yards piling up for LSU, 24 more.
Just a draw, vision, patience, and a great job of finding that hole by Davis-Price.
First down. After the play, personal foul, offense, number 75, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Anthony Bradford, backup guard, picks up a personal foul after the play was over. Did not see it, but still a first down carry for LSU with 3:16 to go. And let me ask you this. Look, you've got a true freshman quarterback and a defense that up until this game, their own head coach said was embarrassing.
Right.
But they still have Auburn. They still have Alabama. They still have Texas A&M. They still have Florida on their schedule. Is there any chance that LSU could run the table, get wins like that, and get themselves back into the conversation?
Their defense isn't good enough. The defense is not good enough. Offensively, it's there. They're going to score points. But if I have to look at the teams that they're going to play, and I look at an Alabama offense on November 14th that should be pretty successful. Don't sleep on Arkansas either. Texas A&M's offense.
But still, it's still 3 opponents in the top 10, and if you were actually able to win them all.
Sure. You're asking me, and I'm not going to sit here and tell we'll see. I don't think the defense is good enough.
I agree with you. I don't think they're going to do it. I'm just wondering, with wins like that, could you actually get yourself back into the conversation if you were somehow able to pull off a miracle domino effect?
If you beat Alabama
towards the end of the season.
If you beat Florida, and Florida only has 1 loss till that point, sure, you're going to be into the conversation because you're LSU in the SEC and what would happen in the SEC championship game. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Neither do I.
Again, that's the reason I made the point. Does the coaching staff look at this team and go, we're good, but we're not good enough to go contend for the national title? So does it make sense for us to try to go win those games? No question about it. But also getting TJ Finley and/or Max Johnson a gajillion reps this season and really building for our future. Because I think he's good enough to win games.
Play clock down to 3. Max Johnson gets the play off. He'll try and run it himself, and he'll pick up the first down. Well, Halloween night, a player in a team that's absolutely in the national championship conversation. Justin Fields and number 5 Ohio State into State College to take on number 8 Penn State in a Big Ten battle. Will Penn State still be number 8? Probably not after a loss to Indiana earlier today, but that's next Saturday night, 7:30 Eastern at Beaver Stadium on ABC and the ESPN app.
I think for LSU as a whole, they're going to look at this tape and be very excited for a lot of the things they did offensively, especially in the run game and some of their playmakers. And then I think their defense is going to look at with Coach Pelini and Coach O and go, listen, there's 45 really, really good plays. And then there's 6 or 7 plays that we did not do a good enough job. And so it's always better to correct after a win or during a win. And so there's going to be a lot of good, but there's still going to be some kind of honest truth that there still needs a lot of correction on that defense.
Well, can't ask for much more, I would think, if you're Ed Orgeron, than a 541-yard, 52-point night. And to take South Carolina, a team that just beat Auburn last week for the first time in about 8 decades and beat them convincingly at home. A terrific win for LSU, 52-24. For Dan Orlovsky and Quinn Kesnick, I'm Bob Wischusen. Coming up next on ESPN, more college football action. Texas State travels to Provo to take on BYU. Enjoy that one.
ESPN thanks you for watching this presentation of the Southeastern Conference.